You haven't said much in public since that tragic accident. Why speak out now?
Gilliam, investigation. Thank you for the first time sub in your primer. Speaking of first time subs in your primer, subscribe to me now if you guys want the cutting edge, bleeding edge coverage, because I'm going to run an ad break, okay? It's this simple. None of you are fucking donating to my rent, so I have to make money somehow. So we're doing ad breaks, okay? So sub to me with your Twitch Prime. You can connect your Twitch account with your Amazon Prime account to be able to get Prime gaming. So you can sub to one of your favorite streamers for free. And subbing makes you skip the ads. I'm going to run the ad break now. Or you can spend 5 of your hard-earned cuck bucks. All right. Ads rolling.
There's all kinds of civil litigation, and
thank you.
There were a number of misconceptions. Most of it from sources I really wouldn't.
Oh yeah, that's also the case. I'm gonna say it actually after the ad break.
But a couple that I did concern myself about, where there were these authoritative statements about this is what happened. The sheriff's department hasn't even released a report.
Thank you,
to the
Christoph.
DA yet. The reason I wanted to sit down with you is because I really feel like I can't wait for that process to end in February. March.
Damn, it's like my breaking news take where it's like, I don't want to comment on it, but goddamn, it seems like every other motherfucker is, so here I am. That's what it is.
Hey, Ekmek trying to save 5 people from the adpocalypse.
Feels like a little bit.
I mean,
also, to be clear, not that it matters because I know everybody will quote me however they want for whatever's like the most politically convenient thing to them. I don't have a side in like who I think is right or wrong because I'm waiting for everything to release. I don't know yet. So, but, yeah.
Asking them to speed it up for my benefit, that's ridiculous. When I talk about this, my concern is that I don't sound like I'm the victim. Because there is a victim. There's a woman who died, and my friend got shot. He's my friend, and she was a new friend.
Oh, sorry, I should move this.
We worked together on some of the mapping out of what we're going to do on the film, which, you know, in the...
Yo, now I can say it. $1, 100 bits to be precise, 100 bits gets you the availability to TTS with now added Alex Jones's voice, Donald Trump's voice, or Obama's voice. In my chat room. 100 bits. If you want to know how to use either one of the voices, you put a lowercase o and then a colon, like this, to have Obama, or a T for Trump, or an A for Alex Jones. Just 100 bits, then put either one of those things, whatever you want, and then your message, and then you get the voice. Obama.
Movie terms, if you go make a movie with Scorsese, you and the DP don't sit down and they solicit your ideas of how to make the film.
That's weird.
I mean? In the case of Helena, we sat down collaboratively and talked a lot about what we wanted to do in that a precious amount of time we had. But I want to make sure that I don't come across like I'm the victim, because we have 2 victims here. And the second thing is that all of what happened on that day leading up to this event was precipitated on one idea, and that is that Helena and I had something profound in common. And that is we both assumed the gun was empty, other than those, dummy rounds. My authorities as a producer are casting and script, which are actually married to the role of being a lead actor in a film.
Why does this shit take so long?
You're not the kind of producer who's looking at the line item of each budget.
No. There are basically 2 types of producers who are really in charge of production. People that raise the money.
I have the best
and
DTS.
people who spend the money. My
Some people, lots of people know that it is the best, but I never get the credit.
Or approvals were completely about casting and about the script. I don't hire anybody in the crew.
Not even the cinematographer, no one?
No, but he will apprise me of what he's doing. And he'll say to me, I got Helena Hutchins to be the DP. I said, how do you feel about that? Are you excited? I'm very excited. She's wonderful.
What did you know about Helena Hutchins before she started working on this?
I knew nothing about...
Let me be clear.
I think Obama's is really good. It's like really high quality. I'm not sure why. It sounds like it's like a audible reading or something. It's like, let me be clear. So I got like a high quality mic.
About her until...
But it is really fast. It is pretty fast.
Joel said to me, I got her. She was fantastic.
Helena Hutchins, the talented cinematographer praised by many in the industry.
Let me be clear,
was a
AS.
trailblazer
Otherwise,
in
they
the
turn my
field
frog ass gay.
historically dominated by men.
Wait, what?
Make sure we don't see people walking around like walking around.
Ready? Action.
The Ukrainian-born cinematographer quickly gelled with Baldwin.
I'll be right back 1 second. Okay, where were we? Oh yeah, this, remember?
She was someone who was loved by everyone who worked with and liked by everyone who worked with and admired.
I'm sorry. That looks pretty fake. I'm sorry. That's kind of funny. It looks pretty fake to me. I'm sorry, dude. The robot in the background, yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, listen. This interview is sad because a sad thing happened, and I believe that he's sad. Okay, I don't need the sad music to make it sadder. All right.
It was 45 minutes of bonus streaming for that cringe.
He actually killed somebody? No, I'm sure it's real. It just looks fake. It's similar to the Kyle Rittenhouse shit.
Even though Obama can see the fake ass crying with this fucking music.
That's a good fucking meme, dude.
Admired by everybody who worked with her.
Russ' 21-day
What about
production
Kyle's
began...
crying? It seemed fake to you. Dude was shaking. The dude, it was comical. It was he was like hyperventilating and shit. I think it was funny. I thought it was funny. I think it's funny, right? But it visibly looks fake because of how animated he was. But I'm not saying that it is fake. It just looks that way. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Filming on October 6th at the Bonanza Creek Ranch, just outside Santa Fe, New Mexico. The ranch
It's called
has
a panic
long been
attack?
favorite
Yeah, it looked like
location
one.
for filming westerns.
Listen, Trump,
The day that
I never thought I would agree with you, and still don't. Omega Eliwell.
flew there, they'd been shooting for a week already. I come the following week on the 11th. That night of the 11th, I had dinner with Helena and Joel. And we talked about some of the compositions I was thinking of to...
That was the first time you met?
First time I met Helena, yeah.
What was your first impression?
When I met her, I knew she had that spark. I knew she had that flint to her, that she was going to get that day's work done and get the shots that she wanted. She was very focused.
She had a vision for the film?
She was very focused. We had a discussion about compositions of shots in which you were shooting these beautiful tableaus of the West. She had that intensity. Every day you went...
I don't like having any conversation about like the content of character of somebody who's dead, because you know you can never go, oh yeah, that guy was an asshole, that guy was a total piece of shit. Sucks that he died, but he was just a complete asshole. Yeah. No, he was just a piece of shit to everybody. Like you could never say, like, be honest. I'm not saying that this person wasn't any of these things, but it just like, I don't even know why I'm listening to this bit right here. Right? I would look to articles or people talking about her before she died. After she died, everyone's going to be like, yeah, she's literally like the second coming of Christ. Like, she was going to be the biggest director in the history of mankind, but now she's dead. Like, okay.
To work. She would say, good morning, how are you? How was your evening? Boom. It was small talk, go.
Nerds,
We weren't going to hang out.
You know that we have been trying to get in touch with you about your car's extended warranty.
Dude, it started getting cursed. I wish that you had played that for a little bit, like there was more text. Did you guys hear it at the end there? It was starting to get cursed. It was like, extended warranty.
And chit-chat or whatever. She knew that the clock was the enemy, and we have to move forward. On the 12th, I had a safety demonstration with Hannah Reed, the armorer.
24-year-old Hannah Gutierrez Reed, seen here in photos by the DailyMail.com, was hired as the film's armorer, in charge of all weapons on set. The daughter of a famous Hollywood armorer, Rust was only her second film in this role. She spoke to the Voices of the West podcast about working as lead armorer for her first film before Rust.
I was really nervous about it at first, and I almost didn't take the job because
All right, I see we're thrown under the bus for this one.
Yeah, I was gonna
although
say.
I say that, but it genuinely could have been her fault. It's possible, right?
Wasn't sure if I was ready, but doing it, like, it went really smoothly.
We spent an hour and a half shooting the pistol, her giving me all her safety instructions.
Did you think she was up to the job?
I assumed because she was there and she was hired, she was up for the job.
And nothing she did raised any red flags with you?
No.
This training course you do, what did she tell you?
She'd say things like, remember, this is a blank round, so you have to create the discharge yourself because there's no projectile. So if you shot the gun, you go bang. When we roll the camera, you got to go bang and have the gun snap back. You have to create that. She would give you little tips about firing. And she'd say to you, when we're done, point the gun down. When we're done, you give the gun to me or to Halls, only those two people.
Dave Halls was Rust's assistant director, also known as the first AD. Seen here in this IMDb photo, he was responsible for keeping the production on schedule.
Cool.
Sometimes we would be on a set that was a very, very cramped set, and they wanted people in that room on an as-needed basis. If I'm holding the gun and they say cut, I then hand the gun to Halls if she's not there.
Yeah, why Halls, not Hannah? Some people have said that only the armorer should be handling
No.
it.
That's inaccurate. Meaning, in the protocols of the business, meaning Hannah would to hand me the gun 99% of the time. No, whatever, the preponderance of the time. But when we would say cut, if Hannah was away from the set, I would hand Halls the gun.
Halls is the assistant director,
Hannah
right?
Gutierrez-Reed had a dual role on set.
Yeah.
Armorer, and she was also the assistant prop master for the film. One of the things her attorney has said is that she was hired for 2 positions on the film and therefore was stretched in an inappropriate way. Did she raise any of those concerns with you?
No, I assume that everyone who's shooting a lower budget film is stretched.
100.
Myself
I talked to
included.
many experts, and they all said Hans is going
I
to
got
lift
no
tremendously.
complaints from her or the prop department. I'm not sitting there when I'm getting dressed and ready to go do a scene saying, oh my God, the prop woman seemed very harried today.
Wait, why
I didn't get a sense of that from any of the people on it.
why did it do that? Why was that? Huh? Hold up, I gotta figure out what just happened.
The first time I heard that there was any problem with anybody in the crew of the film was when Luber said, well, we have some issues here.
Lane Looper, the first camera assistant.
So
train
train is the default one. I don't know why it happened when you put T in there.
Managers a resignation letter later that night, citing safety concerns. Quote, during the filming of gunfights on this job, things are often played very fast and loose. So far, there have been 2 accidental weapons discharges. He also wrote about concerns about reasonable rest and housing for local crew with long commutes to the set.
When he quit, now, the day before that happened, we wrapped. And he came up to me and he said, thank you for the position you've taken on behalf of IATSE and the union on social media. I said, my pleasure.
Training voice, buck
This
50
photo,
meter.
posted by Helena,
I have no sense of
showed
humor.
the cast and crew in solidarity with IATSE, the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, which had been on the verge of a strike. And Alec posted this on Instagram.
And I want to say to the people in IATSE, do what you need to do. You want to go on strike? Go on strike. Because I'll tell you something about the executives. They don't give a about you. He said, because we have some issues here. I said, such as? And he said, my men need a better hotel room.
We know that there were safety issues. We know that there were unionized people who were walking off the scene because of safety issues. We know that there were
just a correction on that.
discharges.
Unionized people walked off the scene for a variety of reasons related to a whole bunch of
safety reasons.
No, it was
Safety
some of it
reasons.
had to do with them. Well, when you say safety reasons, some of those safety reasons were like not having appropriate social distancing or masking up for like the coronavirus stuff. Other things
I
where
agree.
they felt like their trailers weren't being catered to well enough. There was a whole host of reasons why people walked off. It's not because there were like so many guns firing everywhere. Okay, just being clear on that. Go
that's
ahead.
fair.
There was no mention of safety issues.
Oh no.
He didn't say anything about the accidental
That
discharges
debate,
on
man.
set.
He didn't say anything about anything other. He goes, my men need better hotel rooms.
Something that I, just from a corporate kind of like phrasing point of view, I actually can believe Alec Baldwin here, because like, imagine if you're kind of like, it's hard to know because you don't know the safety. But like, imagine you've got complaints or whatever about your boss, and I'm sure everybody's had this before. Where you're like, oh, like, you know, I wanted a lunch break. Normally I get a 45-minute lunch break, but this shift it was busy. You told me I only have a 35-minute lunch break. You know, f you or whatever, right? If you're gonna take complaints to the manager, it's never gonna be over that thing. You're gonna be like, okay, well check this out, okay? Not only did our lunch breaks get cut short, okay? Sometimes the floors aren't always mopped. We don't always get the signs out there. It's slippery like a motherfucker. People are falling all over the place out there, right? I could see people like hamming up. You're like, oh yeah, safety. Yeah. However, that being said, if there truly were already 1 or 2 negligent discharges on set, that's pretty amazing that wouldn't be documented, or somebody would have like fallen on some sword for that at some point, you know? That's pretty crazy to me, but.
I said, well, we're leaving, we're wrapping. Will you be here tomorrow? He said, yes. Because what I was about to do, which I've done on any number of films and TV projects, was to give more of my salary back to the production to pay for X. And I was about to say to him, let me know what it would be to B&B you guys in a house that's closer to how we can address your problem. I will be happy to contribute to that. The next day they were gone.
So you had no sense from anyone on the set that people had been stretched to the point where safety was compromised?
No. I never heard one word about that, none.
Rust producers told ABC News
Fuck,
Mr.
I want
Looper's
like actual legal testimony on
are
this.
patently false, which is not surprising, considering his job was to be a camera operator, and he had
Now, this also will be the most important.
Hold up.
Patently false. Rust producers told ABC News Mr. Looper's allegations around budget and safety are patently false, which is not surprising, considering his job was to be a camera operator, and he had
he had absolutely no knowledge of safety protocols or budgets. As we continue to cooperate with all investigations, we are limited in what we can say. However, safety is always number one.
Also will be the most important lesson, okay? If these guys didn't learn it, then they're right? You're just okay? If you have complaints at a job, if you ever learn anything from me, okay? Anything from me ever in the history of all of your lives, okay? If you ever learn one thing from me, it is this, okay? If you have an issue at a job and you feel like that issue is important, you have to email and CC somebody. You have to create some sort of trail that shows that you tried to get these issues addressed. If they're writing these complaints and their little strike thing, and then Alec Baldwin is here saying, well, I never heard anything about that. If they go back through the emails and you find out that not a single person...
This is what I meant when I was like, I want to see a court like testify thing, because I'd like to see legitimate records, if there's any record that exists, being brought in by court order, records that exist. Giveth, thank you for the tier 1 sub, first time sub. I appreciate it.
Has documented this anywhere.
You're pissing
Looks
off
pretty
Anna
bad
again.
for them then.
I see. I don't care. I don't care about Anna. I don't care. I'm sorry. Much love to you, Chatter, though. But I just don't care about that person.
It looks decent for Alec, and then
Lupus,
this is just some
thank you
bullshit they
for the
hammed out to
primer
try to
as well.
get more sympathy
Thank
for
you.
the cause. But if
One
they
and only.
did send an email out, and he's like, oh, well, we didn't blah, blah, blah. No, now it looks a lot worse on Alec Baldwin's side, right?
absolutely nothing to do with or knowledge of safety protocols or budgets. Safety is always the #1 priority on our films.
When people say cutting costs, I don't say this with any judgment or any cynicism. Spielberg wants to save money. Tom Cruise wants to save money. Everybody who makes movies has a responsibility.
This is what happens in Hollywood.
Reckless and
I've been
careless
telling
with
you
the
fucking
money.
people, but you didn't listen. They talked to interdimensional demons, and now those demons have come into this world. But you didn't fucking listen.
Why is it paused for so long on those commas?
That you're given. You know, those are
And
men
it
who
didn't
make
even
movies
play
that
the
cost
it didn't even play
$205
that.
million. And I'm making movies that cost $5 million or
The question, though, is we're cost.
Hold on. If emails aren't the usual means of communication, though, you come off like a dick doing it. Who the fuck cares? They'll know what you're doing, but that's fine. When you get emails like that, if I'm a supervisor and you're emailing me and CCing a manager, I know why you're doing that. It's because you want me to be held accountable about whatever it is you're emailing about. Now, I'm irritated, obviously, because I know that you're busting my ass now, and I know that I'm going to get fucked if I don't deal with this in the right manner, but you're doing it to cover your own ass, right? You can't get mad at something. Well, people will get mad at you for doing it, but who the fuck cares? Would you rather have somebody mad at you, or would you rather cover your ass, right? Because they're not going to give a fuck about you if shit comes up with them. They're going to cover their ass, you know?
Costs being cut at the expense of safety and security.
In my opinion, no, because I did not observe any safety or security issues at all in the time I was there.
FD signifier.
Thursday,
I don't know what that
October
is.
21st, Baldwin posts a photo of himself in costume on Instagram. Back to in person at the office. Blimey, it's exhausting. That morning, Looper and 6 other crew members walked off the set. Filming continued with a replacement camera crew.
Did you say
Scene 118
blimey?
in the church was
Blimey?
slated for after lunch.
Everybody there was having a positive experience. People who are watching the show, people who are back home, you have no idea how unique an environment a motion picture set is. It's kind of, there's an instant familiarity. The amount of care, these are people who are professionals who have really good jobs in a field they love. And I looked at all these people and I see how hard they work. They're so hardworking and they're so conscientious. And you're around people and you're part of one of the great collaborative processes in the world, movie making.
True.
Everyone moving like a watch to get everything done. And
That's
you
pretty cool.
I don't make that many movies anymore because movie making demanded that I travel. And I didn't want to leave my family. All these movies I made, I stayed home. I didn't want to go. I went away for a week. To leave my family for 4 weeks and go shoot this movie, that was a big deal.
Are there any other voices we can use besides Obama, Trump, and conspiracy now? Yeah, of course there is. So there is XQC, Trainwrecks, Mr. Mooten, David Attenborough, Obama, Donald Trump, Alex Jones, and Destiny. D for Destiny, M for Mooten, David for David Attenborough, X for XQC, O for Obama, T for Trump, and A for Alex Jones. And if you want to do Trainwrecks, just leave nothing in there. Trainwrecks is the default.
And I'm sitting on this pew. And so help me God. I sat on that pew right before they called lunch, and I said, this movie has made me love making movies again. And this movie made me love making movies again. I really thought we were onto something.
Next.
Jesus. Creepy.
She goes down. I thought to myself,
You said it on that too.
did she faint?
Wait, she goes. Oh, wait, that's not. Oh, I was about to say. Wait,
What do you mean?
that's part 1? Wait, is there a part 2 to this? Apparently, in the interview, he says he never pulled the trigger, which is interesting. I don't know if anybody else is willing to not collaborate.
Corroborate?
Corroborate that.
Hell yeah! Brother, when we get in a rally voice? I don't know. I mean, they could make one if they wanted to.
It was the 12th day of their 21-day shoot.
That day, I did exactly what I've done every day on that movie.
Baldwin was preparing for his next scene, a shootout inside this wooden church. Set the scene right before that happened. You're sitting in a pew in the church.
Right.
What's the scene supposed to be?
The scene is the two guys are there who have got me, cornered, and they think I'm shot pretty bad, and I'm kind of wilting, and they have a gun, and then the sound outside distracts them, and I would draw the gun, cross-draw out of my holster, pull the gun up like that, and start to cock the pistol, cut. I'm handed a gun, and someone declares, they said, this is a cold gun.
Dave Halls?
The first AD. In my years on the sets of film, hot gun meant that there was a charge in there, and cold gun meant there was nothing in there. When he's saying this is a cold gun, what he's saying to everybody on the set is, you can relax. The gun is empty.
That's what cold gun means.
Well, cold gun means there's no charge in there. There could be dummy rounds.
A dummy round looks like a real bullet, but is completely inert. It contains no explosive charge.
When explaining that he never pulled the trigger, Destiny goes on a long spiel explaining how it's possible and that it should be a shown possibility, but no one points out that it is so common. We have an idiom based on it. Oh, don't go off half-cocked? Is that what you're talking about? I understand what you mean. So you're saying that, like, it's such a common occurrence that we have an idiom about it. It's, like, not something that we see as, like, incredibly uncommon and infrequent that this could happen. In 2 years, that studio setting will be a tourist attraction? Maybe.
And you were rehearsing that scene. Was it an actual rehearsal? There's some disagreement about that, whether it was a formal rehearsal at that time.
This is a marking rehearsal.
What do you mean?
where
Sorry,
I'm going to show
CJ?
her. She's standing next to the camera. She's like this. You're me. She's got a monitor here. The camera is here filming that way. She takes a monitor that is his monitor, the operator, and turns it toward her. It swivels, and she says to me, hold the gun lower. Go to your right. Okay, right there. All right, do that. Now show it a little bit lower. And she's getting me to position the gun. Everything is in her direction. She's guiding me through how she wants me to hold the gun for this angle. And I draw the gun out, and I find a mark. I draw the gun out, I find a cut. And what's really urgent is the gun wasn't meant to be fired in that angle.
So if you're shooting directly into the camera lens, you're not aiming.
I'm not shooting into the camera lens. I'm shooting just off.
Just off.
Right, in her direction. I'm holding the gun where she told me to hold it, which ended up being aimed right in below her armpit, was what I was told. I don't know. This was a completely incidental shot, an angle that may not have ended up in the film at all. But we kept doing this, and so then I said to her, now in this scene, I'm going to cock the gun. And I said, do you want to see that? And she said, yes. So I take the gun and I start to cock the gun. I'm not going to pull the trigger. I said, do you see that? She goes, well, just cheat it down and tilt it down a little bit like that. And I cock the gun. I go, can you see that?
And then he let the hammer slip.
And she says, and then I let go of the hammer.
Yeah,
and the gun
and then it struck the, you don't have to pull a trigger. So on a revolver, the way that a firearm works is when you pull the trigger, a little pin will come out and it'll strike the primer on the back of the cartridge. And when it strikes it,
dude, I've been so self-conscious about that personally. Like when it comes to using guns, I don't ever want to do that shit where it's like, you know, people will put the hammer back onto the primer of the bullet, I guess, like, you know, put it at its resting position for the hammer. I've been so afraid. I would never want to do that because of this exact thing. Like, oh, I would not want to do that because it's just like if you know, let it slip or you like push it and it like doesn't. I don't know. I really don't like the idea of having to do that at all. That shit terrifies me. Ahrelevant, I'm sorry, but you can't restart your PC or Discord client for the entire month. Discord changed notification sounds to Christmas themed sound, and it's terrible. Listen, I never restart my my thing anyway. Restart your PC or Discord client though? Oh, I'm sorry. There's no way. I drop my Discord client like every day. There's no shot. Is there a way I can change it, RTBA? Is there a way I could change it? Wait, is that how they fire those revolvers? Rapid fire? Yeah, they do this. That's how they fan fire. It's called fan firing, I believe. With the revolver, you just throw back the hammer and then it'll throw it back forward. You can't fan firing that gun? Wait, with the gun he used? Fanning the hammer? Is it fan the hammer? Is that what it's called? Yeah, you just fucking throw it back and it'll throw it back. That Colt you can't? Oh, I didn't know if the weapon they used you can or can't, but my bad. In order to fan a revolver, you have to hold the trigger. Really? I didn't know that. Oh, okay. Well, the more you know. Apparently Discord might have already changed it back, but it's still forcing it on me. Maybe it's just caught for me or something. Yeah, it's over, RTBA.
That's what ignites the gunpowder in the cartridge and sends the bullet flying. On a revolver, if you pull back the hammer a little bit, even if you don't have the trigger pulled down, if the hammer's not pulled back all the way, if you let go of the hammer, if it slips, then the hammer will just come forward and it'll strike the bullet just like you pulled the trigger, assuming it's like a single or double action, revolver. It'll do that, yeah.
I let go of the hammer, the gun goes off.
At the moment. The decisive
That was the moment the gun went off, yeah. That was the moment the gun went off.
It wasn't in the script for the trigger to be pulled.
Well, the trigger wasn't pulled. I didn't pull the trigger.
So you never pulled the trigger?
No. I would never point a gun at anyone and pull a trigger at them, never. That was the training that I had. You don't point a gun at me and pull the trigger. On day one...
I don't know if either of these people know how guns fire or what that means.
I was gonna say, like, it can be just as dangerous to fuck with the hammer as it is, as we now know. It can be just as dangerous to fuck with the hammer as pull the trigger, because the trigger is supposed to actuate the hammer. That's what it's supposed to do, right? So, I mean, like, you never pull the trigger, sure, but, like, the reason why you don't pull the trigger is because it fucks with the hammer to fire the gun. So, fucking with the hammer is, like, can be just as bad. So,
again, you don't have to pull a trigger. You could shoot a revolver all you want. You can hold a revolver in your hand, and you can just let the hammer slide back, or you can activate the hammer pull it back and then just let it slip, and that gun will fire over and over and over again. You never have to pull the trigger unless the hammer is fully cocked. Then you usually have to put your thumb on the hammer, pull the trigger, and then decock it. But you can fire
some revolvers
revolver
don't have
over and
them.
over again
Sure,
without ever
giveth.
pulling a trigger. You don't need to. Well, I guess I'll call it that. There might be some revolvers where that's different these days, maybe, but I'm not familiar with it.
Of my instruction in this business, people said to me, never take a gun and go click, 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 click.
I never even thought of that, actually, but that's true. In those movies, I remember seeing it as a kid, but I didn't know what was going on at the time. But that's true. In the movies, when you've got the cowboy going boom, 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 and you're like, wow, what's he doing? How is he firing? My guess is what he's probably doing is he has the trigger held down, and all he's doing is he's just pulling the hammer back and then letting it slip off of his hand, and it's firing over and over and over again. That's probably what's happening, because he's just bringing the hammer back, letting it go, and it's striking, and then the force of the explosion will turn the is it called a slide? The cylinder? And
yeah, the cylinder. Yeah, I've had conversations about this. Hold up, I'm gonna get the video for you guys. This is
below
cool
the next
video.
cartridge like that over and over and over again, fanning the hammer like McCree. Yeah. Now, so I don't want to be I'm trying not to go all JCS, but like Alec Baldwin has definitely been ultra prepped by a lawyer for this conversation, because he's being incredibly rigid on how he's talking about some of these things, and he's using exactly the right words that he needs to not incriminate himself. Like, notice I would never point a gun at somebody and pull the trigger. I never pulled the trigger. Everything was under her direction. She told me to aim the gun in a certain place. I was told that it was a cold gun. There was nothing, right? Everything that he's saying. Now, to be clear, that's not saying that he's lying about anything or that anything he's saying isn't specifically true, but he's phrasing everything in the perfect way to make sure that he's exonerated from the responsibility of, theoretically, if this does go to a criminal court or a civil one, on who the liability should be on.
I've heard some revolvers can't be fired like that unless you are holding down the trigger. So why is Baldwin saying he didn't pull the trigger? He had to at least held it down. Well, there are some revolvers that work that way and some revolvers that don't, to my knowledge. Like you absolutely can have misfires by like the chatter earlier was saying, don't go off half cocked, because the half cocking thing was a problem. If you half cock the hammer, it could slip and it'll like fuck up. Like there's literally a saying on it. And so yeah, there are problems with it where there's it's just that simple. There are safety mechanisms for a lot of guns that were improved over a long period of time. Some guns had the safety mechanisms, some of them didn't, and it's just that simple, you know. It doesn't seem like you can do a lot of this shit with a Glock, because the hammer is inside of a closed casing, right? In comparison to, for instance, M9 Beretta has the hammer out. I'm pretty sure, yeah, if I remember correctly, Beretta has the hammer out, but it has safety mechanisms around the hammer as well. So yeah. I mean, there's more safeties now, but like the farther back you go, which is obviously the vast majority of the revolvers made being, in the past, long in the past, or at least those types of revolvers, I should say. There are like obviously modern hunting revolvers and shit like that. Those revolvers didn't have as many safety features.
Okay, sorry, I'm here. Okay, I have one more gym take, and then we're going back to this, okay? I don't know if this one is true. This might be hyper bullshit, but heed this, okay? Okay, heed this, all right? Might be a life changer for some of you.
Wait, what? Is Kyle Rittenhouse really? No fucking way. Kyle Rittenhouse, the official Twitter for Kyle Rittenhouse, managed by Kyle and his team. Following the omni-liberal. Let's get that interview, dude. Let's go. No, it's photoshopped. Oh. Dude, I thought there was no chance, dude. No chance, dude. No chance, dude. There was the I remember I got real good by the Vaush one. The Vaush one, I got real good. I remember there was the Vaush video one, where they posted that he was doing an interview. I was like, no way, soy. And it's a fake one. Sad.
It might be a life changer for some of you, okay?
You got excited? Yeah, I want to see Kyle do some debates. That'd be cool. Or interviews. That'd be cool.
When we grow up, we always learn that children or like adolescents recover from injuries so quickly, okay? We always learn this, that young people like recover from injuries. They're so good. Like when you're older and you get hurt, it's so bad, blah, 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 blah. We hear this all the time. I'm sure that young people probably do have some slightly better capacity for injury recovery. But you know what I bet the biggest thing is? I bet it has more to do with the concept of active recovery than them just being young. I think that is really important that if you get hurt, you have to find ways to, like, obviously within a reasonable amount, like,
what is this?
Banger, I hope you're saying this. I played Call of Duty every night of trial.
Fuck boy, you can see it to believe it. Try to dodge and waving it up a paraplegic, believe me.
Wait.
Isn't one of the things people do in these video games try and kill everyone else with your guns?
Yeah, the video game. It's just a video game. It's not real life.
And before the people, wait, this counts as him lying on the stand. He said that he only sometimes plays it. He said that it's only sometimes. He's lying on the stand.
to like work through it or work around it.
I can see
Don't
the
get
people.
hurt and then just sit on your injury and do nothing for months because it will fuck you up hard. That's my bullshit take of the day. I've gotten like minor hurts like 2 or 3 times that I think I would have stayed home at for like a week or 2. I would have taken a lot of time off the gym, but instead I found like other exercises to like work around it. And I've noticed it feels like, now it might just be that my other injuries weren't that bad, but it feels like they go away a lot quicker. But I don't know, you know, but just something to think about, okay? Something to consider. All right, good luck.
This guy shows firing a revolver without pulling the trigger and how it's impossible with newer ones. All right, let's take a look, actually. Because I've watched this guy in my free time a couple times. He's kind of cool.
Cock 45 here with one of my favorite Colt single actions. 45 Colt. Let's load this baby up. Take some shots. There's not much I'd rather shoot. There's not much I'd rather do, and there's not a firearm I'd rather fire than this baby. All right, better get my ears in. See if we can plug something here. A propane tanker. And a cowboy. Clip. Load 5 instead of 6 Hickok. And why does John Wayne do it? Well, there's a reason for it. And you know what? Let me just show you why. How's that? Well, let's use the Colt. I happen to have some rounds here with no powder, no bullet, just a primer. Let's put one in here, and with half cocked, and we'll bring him around under the firing pin. Okay, now he's under. I can see the primer. You can too, probably. I'm gonna let the hammer down. Okay. Now let's say I had that in my holster.
That shit right there is what I never want to do. I never want to have to let the hammer down on a primer. I never want to do that for my entire life. That shit scares the hell out of me.
And I'm riding the range, or I'm doing anything. It's in a shoulder holster, but I'm carrying this gun around. The firing pin is against the primer.
Oh, and he's just going to bump it?
To me. Now, I know the argument is it could go off, but would it really? You know, we're inundated, aren't we, with safety. Have you ever bought any kind of new appliance, anything? You look at the manual, looking for instructions. The first 5 pages are big orange warnings, you know, about everything. You know, do not put your head under the tire of this tractor. It could hurt. Do not stick your arm under the lawnmower while the blade is turning. You know, it's just, there's no end to it, is it? And a lot of it is really stupid stuff. And so we get to where we don't even read it. We get to where we don't even pay attention to it. I mean, really, I'm that way myself because so much of it's silly. This is not one of those things. This is not one of those things. It's not just a bunch of old guys with their old single-action classic firearms being anal. It's really not, okay? And I'll show you why. Now, I'm going to put my ears on. Now, we can assume this gun's loaded. You know, it's the same as. It's got a cartridge with a primer. That's why. You wonder why the axe was out here, right? John got me that for my birthday, see? Okay, now, fingers off the trigger. I'm going to hit the back of the hammer and see what happens, okay? There it went. Now, I didn't hit it that hard. So if I had dropped it and it hit on the hammer about any way, it would have gone off. So there you go.
Jesus Christ.
That's why you don't want a primer under the firing pin. That one has been fired. If there had been a bullet, the bullet would have gone down range. All right? So let me take that out, in fact, show you. Give you a little visual here. Okay. You see where the firing pin comes through there? Cock it, and I'm going to release the hammer. Firing pin comes through there and hits the primer. Fires it. Okay, and there it is, see? So that's where it's going to be resting. Now you could put it back on this notch here, like that, and it brings it back, but that's a very fragile notch. In fact, you get some of these older, well-worn single actions, and that notch may not even exist anymore. And besides, if you dropped it, it would probably break that, and you'd mess your trigger up to some extent, but it's a very fragile notch, and it would, very likely break that loose and hit anyway, okay? So, you got a situation where the primer is right there. It's either against the primer already, or it's going to be when you hit it. Now, I'm not going to hit it now. I don't want to ruin my trigger, but it definitely would. All right. Same with the Schofield.
Taking apart and putting guns together seems like a fun hobby.
Let's put one in.
I don't even like guns. Never held one. True.
See if we get the same reaction. So if we were to rest the hammer on a live round. There it is under there. So I put it down. In other words, I'm putting 6 in. You know what I'm doing. Surely I don't have to put 6 in to give you the full graphic. But let's say it's fully loaded now. And if it's fully loaded with 6, then this is going to be resting, on a live round. Or again, I've got to bring it back, and then I'm on that fragile sear, and so that's not good either. So let's bring it back around. You don't want that resting on a primer. Let's get the old axe back over here and show that it's the same with any of these single actions, Smith, Colt, whatever.
Jesus.
Ow, so I'm not going to break my sear just to show you that that the trigger sear wouldn't hold if it was at a half notch there either. But that's the situation. That's why you want to just put the 5 in. Couldn't get the number right? Okay. Now what I want to show you the difference is. The newer firearms don't have this issue.
It's a newer one.
You have a transfer bar or a bar there protects it. Now notice this. I don't have another single action, a modern single action to show you, but this is kind of the same thing. This the Ruger single actions are like that. You see that bar that comes up there? Mm-hmm. That's what actually engages the firing pin. You notice when I pull the trigger, it hits that, and that's what bangs the firing pin there. You can see it in there, can't you? If I let up on the trigger, you see it? See that bar coming up? That bar has to come up in front of the firing pin in order for the way the hammer is cut for it to fire. Okay. So if that is down, it will not fire. For example, if I let off the trigger, I've got the trigger pulled now and I'm holding the hammer, I'm going to let off the trigger. My finger off the trigger, it's not good for the action. Now you notice that bar goes down some and it won't fire, see? So that bar actually has to be up there creating a little more metal there. Okay? I'm going to do something that you should not do at home.
Some big ass fucking rounds though, Jesus.
Goes the other way. I'm going to get one of those 44 special rounds under the hammer. I'm going to let the hammer down. Okay. Trigger's forward. Now I'm going to do the same thing.
I feel like that's pretty dangerous. What if it goes off pointing at these other bullets?
Live round. Okay. I've got a live round under the hammer. So I'm hitting that harder than I hit the other. It won't fire. That's why you can load 6 in the modern revolvers. Okay, even single actions, if they've got that transfer bar and all that. The old Smiths had kind of the same thing. This is an older Smith Model 19. You've got a bar in here. Here it's a little bit different. It moves the opposite direction, but it protects it. Once the hammer goes down, you let up on the trigger. Then it's
okay, I hope that makes sense to people.
Of my instruction in this business, people said to me, never take a gun and go click, 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 because even though it's incremental, you damage the firing pin on the gun if you do that. Don't do that.
And Hall's attorney told ABC.
I guess that
so
could
this
make
is called pulling the trigger on a firearm that's empty is called a dry fire. And I believe that you can damage the firing pin in a gun if you dry fire a gun over and over again. I don't know if that's the case with a revolver, because mechanically they're pretty simple. I don't know if that's the case, but I have heard that with every other gun, or with firearms.
So modern gun equals no dead camera operator? Probably not. No. If we assume Alec Baldwin's testimony is true, then that would probably be correct. That person would be alive, but I don't know.
In general, you're not supposed to like pull the trigger over and over and over and over again.
You have to believe him for that.
News that he was watching and agrees that Alec did not pull the trigger and that his finger was outside the trigger guard. So you have this Colt 45, you just pulled
the hammer as far back as I could without cocking the actual.
And you're holding onto the hammer.
I'm holding that. I'm just showing. I go, how about that? Does that work? Do you see that? Do you see that? Do you see that?
And again, oh man, I'm surprised that they don't get briefed on. Nobody here has held a gun. Nobody here held any guns. Because technically, but it might not even matter because in court it won't matter, okay? Saying that you would never aim a gun at somebody and pull the trigger, but you would aim a revolver at somebody and almost cock the hammer and then release it, it's the same exact thing. You are doing the exact same thing. Functionally, they're identical. Now, neither of these people know that.
How
Baldwin's
did he plan
lawyers
to
have probably
decock
never...
it? The same way the guy did in the video would have been how you would have had to decock it, right? You would have had to ease off very slow. That's why I said I would never do. I'm so scared to do that shit IRL, because like you would have to like let it go gently onto the primer, and that shit scares me. I imagine it's pretty easy if you know what you're doing, right? I mean, it does. The hammer strikes the primer pretty fucking fast, so if you do it just kind of slowly, you'll be fine. But like presumably you would point the gun at the ground and then decock it or whatever. Right, so I guess you could say Alec Baldwin's mistake in this is not pointing the gun at the ground, then like decocking the weapon, or I guess I don't know how to put that. I don't know what the term would be. Resting the firing pin on the primer was his mistake here. You know, when instead of letting it go, he should have pointed it at the ground, then let it go. But
held the firearm, so they haven't briefed him on that. And it's possible that in court it would never come up. But if you're willing to point a gun at somebody, pull the hammer back as much as you can, and then release it, that is exactly the same as pulling the trigger. It's the same thing. He's trying to draw a distinction between it, but like it is literally exactly the same thing.
He goes, yeah, that's good. I let go of the hammer, bang, the gun goes off. Everyone is horrified. They're shocked. It's loud. They don't have their earplugs in. The gun was supposed to be empty. I was told I was handed an empty gun. If there were cosmetic rounds, nothing with a charge at all, a flash round, nothing. I thought to myself, did she faint? The notion that there was a live round did not dawn on me till probably 45 minutes to an hour later. Well, she's laying there and I go, did she get hit by wadding? Was there a blank? Sometimes those blank rounds have a wadding inside that packs, it's like a cloth that packs the gunpowder in. Sometimes wadding comes out and can hit people and it could feel like a little bit of a poke. But no one could understand, did she have a heart attack? The idea that someone put a live bullet in the gun was not even in reality.
Did you go up to her? Did you back away?
I went up to her, and then we were told to get out of the building. We were forced to get out of the building. The medics came in. I mean, I stood over her for 60 seconds, and she just lay there kind of in shock.
Was she conscious?
My recollection is yes.
You know, you can use your primer to sub for free to the best drama channel on Twitch. Do it now.
Of your emergency?
True.
We need a net.
Isn't the hammer just a lock that blocks the trigger? Isn't the hammer just a lock that blocks? A hammer is just no, to my knowledge, the hammer is what the firing pin rests on that actuates to be able to strike the primer. That's, to my knowledge, what that is. You understand? The trigger actuates the hammer, which has the firing pin on it, and then the firing pin strikes the primer. That's, to my knowledge, what it is.
Ambulance out at Bonanza Creek Ranch right now. We've had 2 people shot on a movie set accidentally. I'll connect you with medical dispatcher. Don't hang up.
Director Joel Souza is also wounded. His shoulder hit by the same bullet that traveled through Helena.
To be fair, how many gun owners have revolvers? Gun owners probably aren't familiar with the inner workings of revolvers, commit other crimes. No, I mean, like, that's true, but it's just, it's good to know about generally. I don't know if I would expect an actor to know, but like, I feel like if you're, I don't know how many I don't know if somebody in my YouTube chat is saying that new revolvers are different. They have half-cocked positions or something. That might be true. But like, for instance, like the only reason why I know anything about revolvers is because my uncle shot them a lot and I shot a few. And
the thing about a lot of this information is it changed quite significantly, as we saw in the The other thing, in the video we just watched, half of these things, these hammers don't have firing pins on them. They have mechanisms to be able to strike something that then strikes the firing pin, right? Or that then uses a firing pin, right? So it's kind of weird. So yeah, it's generally speaking, maybe not that simple, but yeah. I saw that already.
I was always told that if you want to decock a revolver, then you put your, while aiming downrange and all that, obviously, don't point the gun at your head and do dumb shit. But what you do is you hold the revolver, you use your thumb to cock it past the normal point, then you pull the trigger, and then you very, very carefully release the hammer, right? Now, that's if it's loaded still. You could also just unload it and then pull the trigger and dry fire it if you want, I guess. But the reason why, when the trigger's pulled, why you slowly let the hammer down is because if you just snap, if you just let go of it and let the hammer jump, that's the exact same thing as pulling the trigger. That's what pulling the trigger does. It lets the hammer jump up, and then the firing pin will strike the primer, ignite the mixture, and then the bullet will fly, right? That's how I always learned how to decock a revolver. But I think even if it's empty, I think you just decock it the same way. So if you've had first-hand experience with a revolver, you'll know how it fires and what the hammer and everything does, right? New revolvers can't go off unless you have the trigger pulled destiny. There's a metal barrier that blocks the hammer from hitting the firing pin unless you have the trigger pulled. That's interesting. That's interesting. Huh.
When she went down, he went down, and he was screaming really loudly. And I thought, what is he screaming? What happened?
Did they ever touch on why there's live rounds on set? Supposedly, people from the crew who were just bored, they took this firearm out, and a few others maybe, and they went shooting with it just for fun. And they're shooting live rounds, not like movie set live rounds that are like blanks, but like live, actual like kill people rounds. And so the ammunition got like mixed up and shit. Which is unfathomably stupid to me.
So was it loaded with a real bullet or one? I cannot tell you that. Okay. We have 2 injuries from a movie gun shot. Okay, we're getting them out there already. Just stay on the phone with me. Okay.
Within 15 minutes or 20 minutes after that, the police arrived and took the church set and put the crime tape around it, the yellow tape, and forced us all to the perimeters of the parking area where we sat and waited. She was in the church, and she was not taken out of the church for quite a while.
In the aftermath, there was chaos.
If you go out shooting with prop guns, I cannot imagine you're forgetting to clean up after yourself. The reality is the vast majority...
I find that crazy that you go out shooting the prop guns and that you don't properly check them. That's just crazy to me.
People practice really shitty gun safety, even gun owners, especially gun owners, okay? The reality is that gun safety is just not...
I got some stories about some fellow gun owners, but I don't want to say them because they would get mad.
Something taken very seriously by a lot of people, unfortunately. That is the case. If there's any fucking range masters or anybody here, they will 100% agree with what... Like, some people are good, but a lot of people are really fucking reckless. It wouldn't surprise me if I'm totally... Now, this is a guess, okay? I don't know if there's any range masters here. It wouldn't surprise me if, like, once a day you're throwing somebody out of the range in a really busy area, or at least, like, a few times a week for doing dumb shit with a fucking gun. Like, just people sometimes don't take safety seriously. And like, range stuff is, like, the most basic safety stuff. Like that doesn't include like how do you store a firearm? Do you keep live ammunition near the firearm? Who has access to the firearm? How do you transport it? Like there's a whole bunch. Like ugh.
Isn't it kind of weird that your livestream fails clip about the Botez people was left up but your Hassan clip got immediately taken down for being too much about politics? Yeah, literally a video where I laugh at Hassan literally just doing a meme. Pretty much the only thing my clip was bringing up a YouTube video that said the same thing that Hassan did, and then me laughing gets taken down, but me making rape analogies and slavery analogies don't. That doesn't get taken down? Huh? It is kind of weird. Yep.
Confusion. But nobody told you what happened?
No.
Do you find that recklessness worth the right to own a gun personally? I like owning a firearm. I mean, if something happens with mine, I take responsibility with it. But I mean, like, if you want to talk about like reckless American shit before firearm shit, we probably talk about cars.
It wasn't until I was in the police station, hours later. I mean, it was like seeing aliens. It was utter disbelief over the idea. It was unacceptable, the idea that it was a live round. And finally, one of the police officers, at the conclusion of my interview, I was there for like an hour and a half or so, she takes her phone and she slides it across to me. She says, "That's what came out of Joel's shoulder, a .45 caliber slug. It was a real bullet."
Had you known that Joel had been hit?
No one had any idea until that police officer, that sheriff's officer, said to me, "This is the slug, .45 caliber slug they took out of Joel's arm." And then the kind of insanity-inducing agony of thinking that someone put a live bullet in the gun.
According to an article that cites the model of the gun, the replica of the Colt they used were produced at the transfer bar. There is no way the gun went off. I wouldn't trust anything that doesn't come out of a court document. Because everybody's got their opinions on all this shit. There's literally zero reason to speculate. I would wait for court documents before saying like, oh, well, we know. Like, I would just wait. There's literally no reason. That might be the case. It might turn out that that is the case.
Tonight, breaking news.
A fatal shooting on the set of Alec Baldwin's new movie in New Mexico.
Something went horribly wrong here in Santa Fe.
We've all seen that picture of you off the set in that hour or so after the gun went off. What were you doing? What was going through your mind?
At the end of, she was laying there, and she was there for a while. I was amazed at how long they didn't get her in a car and get her out, but they waited and a helicopter came. And by the time the helicopter took off with her and literally lifted off, we were all glued to that process outside. When she finally left, I don't know how long it was she was there, 30 minutes, 40 minutes? It seemed like a very long time. But they kept saying, oh, she's stable. Like nobody, just as you disbelieved that there was a live round in the gun, you disbelieved that this was going to be a fatal accident.
So you didn't know exactly how serious it was?
At the very end of my interview with the sheriff's department, they said to me, "We regret to tell you that she didn't make it, she died." They told me right then and there. And that's when I went in the parking lot and called my wife to talk to my wife.
Shock and grief. Helena's husband, Matthew, posted a tribute to Helena. Helena inspired us all with her
How would you
passion and
suggest
vision.
one get into guns? What do you mean get into guns? Play Tarkov, unironically. If you think that, like, if you like the idea, just play some Tarkov, man. Honest. There's a wipe coming out probably in like 5 days. Just play some Tarkov. That shit will get you hyped into guns and changing the way that guns are, unironically. Just buy one? I wouldn't recommend just buying one. They're extremely expensive, and yeah, fuck that shit. Ew, Tarkov is boring as fuck. Ew, you have bad opinions. Bye. Hey, much love, Phil. Buy an NFT of a gun? Can you play Tarkov on a Lenovo laptop? No. Why would you? No.
And her legacy is too meaningful to encapsulate in words. Our loss is enormous.
When this happened, her husband comes to town. Her husband, Matthew. And I met with him and their son. And he was as kind as you could be.
What can you possibly say to him?
I didn't know what to say. He hugged me and he goes, I suppose you and I are going to go through this together, he said. And I thought, well, not as much as you are, you know. And his little boy is there who's 9 years old. I have 6 kids now. I have my older daughter, Ahrelevant, but of the 6 kids that he lost, and I have, my oldest is
6?
8. I have a 9-month-old baby.
He has 6 kids and the oldest one is 8 years old? Jesus Christ. That woman's been pumping out kids for the last fucking 8 years.
And I think to myself, this little boy doesn't have a mother anymore. And I know that in my life, I'm with my kids, and I'm doing quite well with my kids. My kids and I are having a great time, right until my wife walks in the room, and then I become invisible. My kids all go and they jump on top of their mother. And this boy doesn't have a mother anymore. And there's nothing we can do to bring her back. And I told him, I said, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to convey to you how sorry I am and how I'm willing to do anything I can to cooperate.
In the aftermath of the shooting, a torrent of criticism.
The first thing you do when you pick up that gun is you make sure that it's never pointed at anybody.
He should have known that an AD handing you a gun and saying it's cold isn't the same as several people showing you an empty gun.
If I were holding that gun, I would have checked it, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm. People said to me,
God, there's so much to just... there's just so much. Oh, God. I remember my Lawrence Southern conversation wasn't as frustrating as the Bxbullet one. Oh, my God. Holy Jesus. Please stop! Oh my God, you're an instructor. You should know better. Okay, I know.
Well, I do know better. I know that when somebody pulls the trigger and there's a person on the receiving end of that barrel, it's their fault.
There are 4 rules of gun safety, and you break every single one when you are an actor. Do you understand that there's a difference? Okay, if 2 people walk into a room and one person says, "Wow, X happened," and then the other person says, "Well, I don't know, Y or Z could have happened," that it would be incredibly fucking stupid for the first person to go, "Wow, you're making assumptions just like me," when the second person is saying, "No, I'm just showing you there are like 3 alternatives that could have happened. Maybe none of us should make assumptions." Do you understand? I want you to tell me if he has Kevlar on his head. Maybe they CGI'd it out.
I'm not going to look at that. That's stupid.
Okay, then your point is stupid.
I got countless people online saying, you idiot, you never point a gun at someone. Well, unless you're told it's empty, and it's the director of photography who's instructing you on the angle for a shot we're going to do. And she and I had this thing in common where we both thought it was empty, and it wasn't. And that's not her responsibility. That's not my responsibility. Whose responsibility is remains to be seen. But I do.
Well, there are some who say you're never supposed to point a gun at anyone on a set, no matter what.
Unless the person is the cinematographer who's directing me where to point the gun for her camera angle. That's exactly what happened. That day I did.
So there's a correct answer for this, and then I still feel like we're in the legal answer, right? The correct answer is probably, well, some scenes demand it, right? But he doesn't want to say that. It's trying to move the responsibility into another party, probably for civil and criminal purposes, right? Is what it sounds like, but.
Exactly what I've done every day on that movie.
Which is what?
Which is that there's an armorer there, and that word is new to me. In the years I've been in this business.
What did you call it?
It was a prop guy or woman. And the prop person would come, and sometimes they would insist on demonstrating for you and the camera crew. They take the gun, if it was a contemporary gun, they'd show you the chamber, they'd show you the clip, they'd say, the gun is cold. And you look at it and go, thank you. And in the 40 years...
Sometimes that would happen, not all the time.
Well, but no, sometimes they wouldn't demonstrate to me. Some insisted on demonstrating. They would do the demonstration for everybody there right before we rolled the camera, or rehearsed. Then there were others who they didn't do that because I trusted them to do the job. And again, this is not just me pointing a gun at somebody else, people pointing guns at me. Well, I've gotten shot and killed in films before where people had to shoot a flash round at me, and I trusted them to do their job.
Already saw it,
and in the 40 years I've been in this business, all the way up until that day, I never had a problem.
How many times do you think you handled a gun in those 40 years?
Oh, God, I don't know. I don't know. What amazes me is how many rounds of bullets do you believe have been fired on the sets of movies and TV shows in the last 75 years?
No idea.
Right. It couldn't be above 1 billion. You've had...
No shot it's above 1 billion. No shot. Not zero chance. You might get a couple million, maybe. But, like, 1 billion? There's not a chance in hell. What's the current opinion on this case? It's just, like, it seems like this is PR stuff. Possibility of, like, where it's at. I don't know. There's, my current opinion is that, it remains to be seen how exactly this went down. We'll see how many people corroborate the things that he's saying right here. But it seems like if what he's saying is true, then it really isn't his fault for doing it. It's the prop person or the person who was responsible for checking to make sure the gun was loaded.
hundreds and hundreds of millions of bullets fired.
Oh, he said it couldn't be above $1 billion. I thought he said it could be $1 billion.
The sets of films and TV shows, and 4 or 5.
1 billion could be, but no shot. 1 billion is possible. I don't think 1 billion is possible at all. It's not very common that they'll reshoot scenes where like fucking thousands of bullets are being fired. I don't think so. I don't think so. It is no shot. No shot.
People were killed. Now those deaths are tragic and abhorrent. And believe me, I would do anything in my power. I would do anything in my power to undo what was done. I don't know how that bullet arrived in that gun. I don't know. But I'm all for doing anything that will take us to a place where this is less likely to happen again.
Every single time I'm handed a gun on a set. Every time, Mark. They hand me a gun, I look at it, I open it, I show it to the person I'm pointing it to, we show it to the crew. Every single take, you hand it back to the armor when you're done, you do it again. Right. Everyone.
In John Wick, I bet they pulled the trigger at least 500,000 times. 500,000 times? No. No, they did not pull the... Are you saying did a bullet go off? Are you saying they used 500,000 bullets? That could be possible, but I mean, we could probably look it up.
Does everybody knows it?
How do you respond to actors like George Clooney?
Maybe I'm
who say
wrong.
that every time they were handed a gun, they checked it themselves?
Well, there were a lot of people who felt it necessary to contribute some comment to the situation, which really didn't help the situation at all. You have if your protocol is you check the gun every time, well, good for you. Good for you. You know what I mean? I probably handled weapons as much as any other actor in films with an average career. Again, shooting or being shot by someone. And in that time, I had a protocol, and it never let me down.
Why did you choose in your 40 years not to check the gun yourself?
What I was taught by someone years ago was, as I said, if I took a gun, and I popped a clip out of a gun, or I manipulated the chamber of a gun, they would take the gun away from me and redo it. The prop person said, don't do that, when I was young. And they'd say...
God, I remember these arguments, Destiny making these arguments and me making these arguments about, like, all these people saying, Alec Baldwin should have checked the gun. Why? Why? If I was the prop guy, I would say, give me that gun back. I need to now check it because I don't know if you fucked something up, right? Like, and this is a reality that could exist. Not necessarily that it would exist, but it absolutely could. I'm going to ask for that fucking gun back and make sure you didn't fuck something up. Because if that shit goes off, I lose my job, I might go to jail. Anything's fucking possible because your scummy ass might have fucked up my gun. Give it that shit back. And that shit makes a lot of fucking sense. But everybody's like, no, he should have double checked the gun, taken out each fucking bullet, removed it from the fucking casing and the cartridge, checked the gunpowder, fucking weighed it. Like, Jesus Christ, man.
One thing you would need to understand is we don't want the actor to be the last line of defense against...
Yeah, so this is what I was saying, is that, like, when you look at these things, you have to look at this in terms of, like, liability. Who's going to get fucked if shit gets fucked? Because if I'm working as the prop master on a set, or the armor or whatever on a set, and I'm in charge of making sure these weapons are good, if I clear a firearm and I tell you what it is, and then I give it to you, I do not want you fucking with what I've given you. No offense, you're an actor. Your job is to act. If my job is to be in charge of the firearms and my job is to be in charge of making sure what type of ammunition is in there or whether a round is loaded or not, then you keep your fucking hands off it. You do what you need to do to act your scene, but you don't fuck with it. Okay, that's my job. But the point is that he was handed a gun that was supposed to be cold.
And
that's the whole point.
At somebody.
Yeah, because he thought there was nothing in it. He thought it was empty. He thought it was dry firing.
If you or I were in that situation and we tried to make that argument that we thought that there was nothing in the gun, honestly, we probably would not be charged or convicted or go to jail.
If I was in a situation, if I was being instructed by somebody else...
Same thing with him. Like, he's not going to go to jail. He's not going to get convicted.
You're rambling. You're psychotic. You're rambling on random shit right now.
This is so weird of you to say that I'm rambling.
This is so weird weirdly hard to find. I'm just trying to find the movie with the most amount of bullets used. Like, the most amount of ammunition used in history, and I can't find it. I can't find like a single thing that tells me how many bullets were used for any film.
Because you're just saying so much random shit. I don't even know if you're where you're doing it. Okay, If I'm on a set, okay, and there is a strict line of liability for who's going to be in charge or who's going to fuck up who's going to be fucked up if something goes wrong. If, let's say there is an assistant director and a prop master, and they have 100% of the liability of the safety of those firearms, okay? Not only would I probably not clear the gun given to me by them, if I was one of them and I saw somebody clear a gun, I would smack the fuck out of him and I would say, don't touch my fucking firearm. I'm responsible for what happens to this shit, so I'm going to clear it and I'm going to give it back to you, and if you touch it again, I'm leaving the fucking set. That's what I would say. Because you no, I'm not an actor. Okay? You have no concept of liability here. You're totally like in a whole other world. Okay, if the liability for a negligent discharge rests on two other people clearing the firearm,
yeah, I see that, the Grim Reaper, but it doesn't tell me how much. That's the problem. It doesn't tell me how much.
You better believe that they're not going to want a random dipshit actor racking the slide to see if shit works.
First of all, you're going on and on about something I never said.
You explicitly said. That was kind of like my feelings on it. Now, there might be different protocols for different sets, and there might be some actors that receive like a higher level of training when it comes to firearms. For instance, Keanu Reeves is somebody that took firearm training very seriously. When he did John Wick, he does like 3 gun runs and shit and everything, and like he seems to be pretty proficient with firearms, you know?
I remember these meme videos, dude. Everybody was like, "Soy, he's the gun guy."
Him, you know, maybe that's different, you know.
A catastrophic breach of safety with the gun. My job, they told me, man or woman, my job is to make sure the gun is safe, and then I hand you the gun and I declare the gun safe. The crew's not relying on you to say that it's safe. They're relying on me to say that it's safe. When that person who is charged with that job handed me the weapon, I trusted them, and I never had a problem.
And this was from the beginning of your career?
From day one. There's one person that's supposed to make sure that what is in the gun is right and that what's wrong is not in the gun. One person has that responsibility to maintain the gun. And
what is the actor's responsibility?
I guess that's a tough question, because the actor's responsibility going this day forward is very different than it was the day before that. Yeah, now I can't. First of all, I can't imagine I'd ever do a movie that had a gun in it again. And I can't. When you say what is the actor's responsibility, the actor's responsibility is to
wait. There's one answer here for what is the responsibility. The responsibility is to follow the protocol, so that there is a very clear reason why we establish protocol, so that we know who's responsible for what thing, and unfortunately, who is liable should something go wrong. That's why. So the answer is what should you do?
Holy copium. Here are some of the most expensive scenes, not movies, but it does show number of bullets used. Okay. By the number of 5 most expensive movie shootouts. Last Man Standing. Bullets used. Estimated bullets fired. 90 to 60. This isn't very much. Thank you for the link. What is this? Black Hawk Down. It's about, what is this? 15,000, 20,000 rounds for Black Hawk Down?
You should do what the protocol says. Somebody said, Destiny, this part is a lie. You can Google and see it's common and standard practice to show the gun to anyone in the line of fire. So, Tony Nieves, okay, chances are you've read certain types of sources on this. Here's what I will tell you after Googling and reading a ton of shit.
Did he use bullets, though, not blanks? Yeah, I'm talking about bullets. He said that he could have used 1 billion bullets. I don't think they've used 1 billion bullets. Maybe that's possible, but I don't think they've used 1 billion fucking bullets.
Okay. Alec Baldwin said he didn't pull the trigger of the Rust prop gun that killed Hayla Hutchins. So first it was, he's an actor. He's supposed to point the gun at people. And then it was, okay, well, he wasn't supposed to be pointing the gun at anybody right then. but his finger wasn't, but he didn't pull the trigger. Like, what? God. Here's the problem, dude. Here's the problem with this kind of bullshit, right? So many people don't understand the first thing about guns. They don't understand how guns work, right? They'll just believe this stuff. And this just furthers the leftist bullshit rhetoric that guns are these dangerous killing machines that just go off by themselves.
Wait, literally, that's what they are. Like, that is what just to be clear, a gun, by definition, is a killing machine. That is what it is. But I understand the meme here. That is what it is made to do. It is manufactured to kill things. And it is a machine, or a mechanism, probably more precisely, created specifically for that purpose. But okay.
Themselves all the time. Oh my God, close those. Yeah. So this is, here we're getting into the
not a machine? Would it not qualify as a machine? I know when we typically think of machines, we think of electronic parts. A machine, an apparatus or using or applying mechanical power, having several parts and each with a definitive function together performing a particular task. It would be a machine. I mean, by that definition. It's a physical system with ordered structural and functional
I don't understand how you're simultaneously capable of speech and this fucking stupid.
It's bullet territory, right? I don't know if you guys remember. I really should have asked Destiny to put money on this, right? We were talking, and I was like, he pointed the gun at a person. And he's like, no, he didn't. He pointed it at a camera. I'm like, then how did a person get shot? He's like, you don't think bullets can hit other objects before going into a person? I said, I don't think that a bullet can hit an object and then go through a person's chest and out the other side with enough velocity to shoot another person in the shoulder. No, I don't. And he's like, you don't think ricochets are a thing? You don't think ricochets are a thing? And then he fucking muted me.
Hold up. Wait, what happened?
Yeah. So this is, here we're getting into the Destiny Magic Bullet territory, right? I don't know if you guys remember. I really should have asked Destiny to put money on this, right? Well, we were talking, and I was like, he pointed the gun at a person. And he's like, no, he didn't. He pointed it at a camera. I'm like, then how did a person get shot? He's like, you don't think bullets can hit other objects before going into a person? I said, I don't think that a bullet can hit an object and then go through a person's chest and out the other side with enough velocity to shoot another person in the shoulder. No.
This person's a firearm instructor. This person is talking like a 15-year-old. It depends on the bullet. It depends on the object. It depends on the person. It depends on the density, the density of the person. Like if it's some 500, 600-pound dude, a 22 ain't going clean through that person. That's not going to happen. The density of the person matters, right? Whether or not they're like, big or not. It depends, right? Like, this shit, I don't know how this could come from a firearm instructor. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how. How could this? It can't go through, bullets can't go through objects? Since when? Bullets go through walls and shit?
No, I don't. And he's like, you don't think ricochets are a thing? You don't think ricochets are a thing? And then he fucking muted me and started talking shit to his audience, telling them that I didn't know what ricochets were. Like, this was the kind of shitty backstabby tactics that Destiny used in that debate, right? You don't know what you're talking about. Oh, are you saying ricochets are dangerous?
Jet
like,
fuel
it was just
can't melt steel beams.
So disingenuous, dude. And I should have asked him to put money on it, because I've said this from the beginning. It wasn't a blank. It wasn't a ricochet. It didn't hit the camera and go through the camera, like drill through the camera, and then go through somebody else's person. That's not how bullets work.
She keeps saying this. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That is how bullets work. It depends on the bullet. It does. If I put, let's just meme it up, all right? We're going to soy out. I put a 50 BMG, I can shoot clean through any fucking camera and probably kill 2 or 3 people on the other side. Easily. A 50 BMG will wipe through that fucking camera and probably 2 or 3 other people easy. Easy on the other side of that fucking shit. Yes, it matters. It matters what gun you're using, what bullet you're using, what packing in the cartridge you're using. Absolutely, it fucking matters. Kill, you mean obliterate? Yeah, it'd probably honestly just go clean through them to the point where it'd just be like a small entry and exit wound, honestly. It would just over-penetrate them. We need the R-word back exclusively for more honesty. The biggest J, no. Is that what happened? No, so what happened was it was a 44 Magnum, I believe, which is a pretty meaty round at the range that they were using it. So, yeah. Gun range instructor, by the way. Yeah, gun range instructor, bullets don't go through cameras, by the way. The fuck? Fuck, I think a 7.62 by 54 would probably go through a camera and then kill a person. Fuck, maybe even kill two. Even lengthwise. A 7.62 by 54 is a fucking meaty round, dude.
Okay. Yes, ricochets can be dangerous. Ricochets can kill people. Yeah. But that kind of entry and exit wound, straight in and out, that doesn't happen with the ricochet, right? You usually will have an effect called keyholing. Once it's already hit an object and goes through another one, that means the bullet, it's wobbling. It's like this, okay? The bullet's going like this. It's no longer just straight going through the target with the same amount of velocity.
Yeah.
So, you know, for it to have gone through, I said from the beginning, no, it was a live round. Stop saying it was a blank. It was a live round, and it went, and he pointed it directly at her because it shot her.
Did he? Wait, hold on. I don't think he said that it was a blank. He said that he thought it was a blank. That's what he was told it was a blank.
Went all the way through her and out the other side with enough velocity to injure a person behind her.
Would this gun penetrate two people in an object? It depends on the object. Holy shit. I'm wrong, dude. It does not depend what the object is. Whatever the object is, that thing is going through it. It doesn't matter what the object is. That thing is going clean through it.
Destiny argued with me about this till he was blue in the face. Well, how do you know? How do you know it didn't hit the camera? Because I know how bullets work, unlike Destiny, okay? Yes, ricochets can be very dangerous. Yes, ricochets can kill people. But the manner of her injuries, including the over-penetration and striking of the person behind her, indicates that she was shot directly with the bullet. And that it was a large caliber bullet. I said all these things before.
What the fuck is she talking about here? Did she see the coroner report? Did I miss this? Did anybody else? She's like, clearly, because the over-penetration of the bullet, it was clearly didn't go through any object. Did you see the coroner report? Did you see the entry wound? Did you have, like, my bad, did I miss the files, the tapes, the film, the pictures of the coroner's report and shit like that? My bad, that's on me. Where's that shit at? Where's all this information she's getting? Jesus Christ. And by the way, the only reason why Destiny said that the current idea was that it went through the camera or that it might have struck the camera was because that was what the reports were talking about at the time. And that he doesn't like speculating or talking about breaking news, but when people make claims that they don't know about without reading the context of the breaking news, he has to do his best to be able to stay consistent with the thing, which it seems like, at least according to Alec Baldwin's memes and the modern memes, it probably didn't go through the camera. It looks like it probably didn't go through the camera. And with that being the case, okay. As it is what it is. It's not like he necessarily got something wrong. It's that he had to provide alternative realities and use the best information at their disposal at the time, given the fact that other people were making claims, right? Similar thing. It was reported on day 3 or 4, the same round that the guide traveled through her, I think. Don't bullet. No. That's not what we're talking about, Glue. What we're talking about is the over-penetration. She said the over-penetration of the woman indicated that the bullet hadn't traveled through any other object. That's not how it worked. Did we look at the entry wound? Was it like indicative of it not going through the thing? Like, where's the excess information here? Whereas like Destiny had actual like articles that showed that there was people on set or quotes of people on set saying that it had gone through the camera. They were just wrong.
Had the information. I said all these things. That it was a large caliber bullet and that it went straight in and out of her. He was pointing it directly at her. I even said to Destiny, yeah, they were also saying, oh, maybe it was a blank, but there was a bullet lodged in it. And I said, there's no fucking way. That can still kill somebody. Sure, that's how Brandon Lee died. But I don't believe that could go through a person like that. And into another person, right? And so, whatever happens to that one trans person with the curly hair, you talking about Empress? Through and through, straight shot. I said this from the beginning. Who
You
blocked
just
me?
said this from the beginning. Oh, cringe.
Oh.
Historical
Anyways,
revisionism.
yeah, so all of the evidence we had were leading to this. That's why before we had all the information, I could already tell you certain things about it, right? And, I kept asking.
Before we had all of the information, I could have told you certain things about it. Listen to the words you are saying right now. Listen to what is coming out of your fucking mouth right now. This ain't it. This is not it. Oh yeah, by the way, I mean I knew it the whole time. I knew it the whole time. Even without the information. I mean, none of the actual evidence came out and I knew it the whole time. Really?
Destiny, did he point it at her or not? Did he point it at her? Well, he was pointing it towards the camera. It says it right here. But did he point it towards the camera and at her? I can point towards the camera, but still be pointing at my cat, right? This is how bullets work, right? I don't have to be pointing directly at the camera lens. So yeah, absolutely. I knew from the beginning that this was Alex Baldwin fucking up. Alec Baldwin fucking up. No, she wasn't. That's what people were trying to say, Sid. They were trying to say, oh, she was behind.
Is this, how is she making now this about Alec Baldwin? Is it because he didn't place the hammer properly on the thing? Like, what?
Behind the camera, and she must have been looking into the camera, and the bullet went boom straight through the lens and somehow missed all factors that would cause resistance. It somehow went clean through the camera lens and then into her abdomen. What?
Yeah, bullets, it's a little thing called penetration. Bullets can do this.
Was the camera down here? None of that made any sense. But people were honestly just doing anything they could to exonerate him. As if the fucking details weren't going to come out eventually and they were going to end up looking like an idiot.
She scried
had her mind
it.
made up that it was his fault before even hearing any. No, I had my mind made up that he had pointed the gun at a person and fired the gun at that person. I mean, those facts were immediately established, right? So even if, like, what he's saying right now.
This is a juvenile way. I remember she was trying to do this inside of the conversation, too. He had to have pointed the gun at her to have shot her. So therefore, he was negligently pointing the gun at her. Because she thinks that there is no circumstance where it is justified to be able to point a gun at another person on a set. That was the big thing that was really fucking idiotic. But I don't know if she just hasn't watched the interview or is cherry picking the evidence. What does she have to say about the idea, not the fact, because this hasn't been corroborated by other sources to my knowledge in what I would prefer to be a court of law, right? Which is the idea that he was directed to point the gun towards the cinematographer. Like, is he just, is he just supposed to go, nah, nope, we're not doing it? Is that the idea? And if he does do it, is it then his fault? Like, yeah, I don't know. This is really weird.
Now is, oh, well, fine. I guess I was pointing it at her. Fine. But I didn't pull the trigger. It just went off. A, you're a liar. Because for a single action revolver to just go off is so freaking rare. That shit's not going to happen. Your mind made up about his being his. I believe
with the
he
hammer.
has fault. Yes. Because anytime that somebody.
Did she not, like, look at it? Like, if she actually has a substantive critique, she can, but, like, looking at the thing, we just watched the videos looking at how they do go off. How they go off without even the trigger being pulled and things like this. We saw the videos on how they go off. Is it hard to believe that one bullet went through a camera and hit two people? One bullet, 3 targets? I mean, I've heard of 2 birds, 1 stone, but... It is hard to believe that one bullet went through a camera and hit 2 people. It isn't. Not at all. Well, I'm sorry. It is if you don't know how guns work. I'm sorry. It can be if you don't know how guns work. Also, if you assume that it went entirely through the camera. You know how often cameras have the, there's like a bloom thing. I don't know if it's a bloom thing. It's like a field of view cover on the lens. It's like a box that kind of spreads out. What if it just cut through the side of that, like, shingling? What if it just cut through that? It'd technically be cutting through the camera, and then it hit her. Like, there's a million fathomable ways of how it could have penetrated the camera, then killed one, and then hurt another. There's a litany of ways that could have worked. If you just don't understand how guns work, though, then, I mean, I don't know what to sell you there. It's just you don't know how guns work. It's a possibility, but highly unlikely. Not at all. It's not highly unlikely at all, whatsoever. For a gun like that to be able to go through, not at all. Those things are like made of plastic. It's not like they're made of fucking titanium bolted into the fucking ground with like goddamn servos holding them up. It's literally some shit. Like, you act like cameras are meant to take bullets. Like, cameras are not meant to be bulletproof. Like, I don't know what you mean. There are multiple angles that cameras can be shot at where it's like they have incredibly thin to no like yet. I'm sorry. Yeah, are we doing the was it the Kevlar backpack meme or whatever, the memes or whatever? Yeah, backpacks aren't bulletproof yet, dude. We need to keep our schools safe. Like, I don't know. There are multiple angles on a camera which could be easily damaged or shot through that would make shooting through a camera viable. And based on the round, shooting through the whole damn thing could be very viable. It just depends on the bullet. Depends on the range. Depends on the placement.
Is wrongfully shot with a gun that was pointed at them. The person.
This isn't your home. Yes, cinema cameras. Hold up. I'm
pointed the gun at.
A bullet could go through this, kill this guy, and then move on to the next. Yes? Yes. Okay, you're fucking stupid to begin with. Let's keep going. Bullet could go through this, hit him, kill him, go into another one. Okay, you're fucking stupid around two. A bullet could go through this, hit him in the fucking chest, kill him, move on to the next fucking target. How many fucking things do I need to fucking say for you to understand that a bullet can go through a camera at several different fucking angles and kill people after going fucking through it, you fucking morons. Holy fucking shit. You are so fucking dumb. You guys act like a fucking all cameras are bulletproof titanium fucking Decepticons. Holy fucking shit, you're so fucking dumb. There are multiple angles that a bullet could go through the center of this fucking camera if it was the right fucking bullet. You fucking morons.
Them is always at least partially at fault. Yeah. So yeah, I didn't need to have the facts of the case to know that he pointed a gun at a person and it went off. We already knew that because a person got shot. Therefore, he was pointing it at her. Easy. Right? I didn't need all the facts for that. Now, the facts that were coming out were quickly starting to validate the things that I'd been saying.
Okay, but that's not what I don't give a fuck. I do not care. Just backpedal Andy your way out of a losing position. That's fucking phenomenal. Don't forget, I'll remember you. I'll remember you for the end of time about how fucking illiterate you are on firearms. That you think that a bullet can't go through a fucking IMAX camera, dude. Oh my God. You are so fucking stupid if you think that shit can't go through this. Oh my God, you are fucking dumb. You are so fucking stupid. You are the type of people that think that if you shoot a fucking wall, it can't go through the fucking wall. Holy fucking shit. Oh yeah, let's just shoot this fucking wall, dude. Nothing. What could go wrong? Fucking dumbasses.
But people were trying to make up magic bullet theories about how the bullet must have bounced off this and that and somehow ended up in, going through a person's body. And what I was saying immediately was that's not possible. And people were trying to tell me I didn't know what I was talking about while they tried to claim that magic ricochets could create this kind of hole in a human being. Because they don't understand terminal ballistics. They don't understand anything about gunshot wounds. And they're just trying to defend Alec Baldwin for some fucking reason. I don't know why. What I did also say was that I didn't say it was his fault because I didn't like him. I said it was his fault because he was pointing the gun at somebody when it went off. Now, you know what would be great? I would just really love to hear everybody in chat, like this guy, Legends of Jew. Okay. I would really like to hear Legend of Jew make the same argument for Kim Potter, the taser police officer who mistakenly shot Dante Wright. I mean, it was an accident. Same energy. So was it her fault or not? Did she point a gun at somebody and pull the trigger or not?
Dude, don't so bad.
You don't know about Dante Wright case. Okay, sure. Here, I would love to hear all the people who came so quick out to defend Alec Baldwin before knowing all the
Are we gonna get a round 2? I hope we get a round 2.
facts of the case, right? Don't put that on me. There were people defending him before they knew the facts of the case as well, right? There were people telling me that I was wrong about, oh no, he didn't. He didn't point it at anybody. That's not true. And I said, that's impossible, right?
Hey, hold on. First off, it is possible. It is 100%. Don't listen to this. I almost said it. This idiot. Don't listen to this. It is possible. Please, chat. It is possible to kill a person with a bullet when you aren't pointing it at them. When you aren't pointing the gun at them. It is incredibly possible to do that shit. Holy shit. Do not listen to this fucking moron. It is incredibly possible to do this shit. All right? This is why you need to be very careful when you shoot at things like metal. This is be very fucking careful. There are people that it is a renowned thing. There's a thing that people do where they shoot at really old TVs, right? This is a thing. People will shoot at really old TVs with guns, right? Low caliber guns and things like that. And it is actually incredibly, way more common than you would think it is. I'm not going to say it's incredibly common, right? But it's because it's not like it's like a fucking 90% rate or something like that. But it is absolutely a thing where there have been multiple people that have gotten injured due to ricochets as a result of that, because it's a low power round, and these TVs are made primarily of like of stronger metals instead of the like flimsy plastic that we make a lot of modern TVs out of, right? If you shoot a modern TV, it's going clean through it pretty much no matter what gun you shoot at a fucking modern TV. But older TVs had a lot more metal in them, and people would get injured by the ricochets from shooting at these fucking things. Please do not follow this dipshit's fucking advice. If you fire a gun, you need to make sure that your targets are not capable of ricocheting at you. And if they are, then you shouldn't be firing the gun at that target. It's just that simple.
Okay, Kim Potter was the female police officer who shot Dante Wright.
Was the camera hit or not? The camera was not hit to my knowledge, no.
Months worth of protests where people were burning cities down, and it came directly after George Floyd. I don't know. I mean, I just assumed that everyone had heard of that. Unless
Guy hit in the head with 50 cal ricochet? Does he actually get hit in the actual head?
Oh, Willie.
Is he okay?
Where'd it hit? Right in the side of my head. We're not doing that anymore. Nope, no more iron.
No, he didn't get injured in this, but this is a really good example of it. This is a phenomenal example of it, so that way we can shut down this absolute moron. So don't forget, this lady's fucking stupid. Never take her advice on gun safety at all. This is a phenomenal video to show it.
Oh, Willie.
He didn't get hit. He didn't get hurt. He isn't hurt at all.
Woo! That's the last one of them we're doing.
That shit happens when you are a fucking idiot and you listen to that person fucking try and tell you how to use weapons. Don't listen to people who don't know how to use weapons do that shit. Don't listen to people that don't know how to do this shit. It's fucking horrible, okay? So we'll play it again. He hit a target and it ricocheted perfectly off of the target. So I'm assuming he hit a flat target that was capable of taking the round, or hit a target that was indented, scooped, and then the bullet hit and then scooped back off and then hit and bounced.
Oh, Willie.
By the way, if he was actually hit on the head, he would be dead. So he's not injured. And also, he's like, it's pretty clear that he isn't injured. To my knowledge, it scooped, or to what they say, it scooped over his head and hit it.
The last one of them.
Yeah, the bullet hits the ground. You can see it hitting the ground right here. Right there. So it hit the ground and it scooped up and over. So please do not listen to this person. Always, even if you are directly head on of a fucking target, be afraid of a ricochet. They are real. They injure people. They kill people. They injure people. They kill people. Ricochets do. This is an example of it not happening. It's just, I just want to make that clear. This person is fine. All right? This person is fine. It happens. Okay?
living under a rock or something, or maybe they were just like...
This is because, yeah, they were shooting a metal target that was capable of withstanding the round, that the round was not able to penetrate, and then it ricocheted, all right? That's something that it's very common for people to do, and like people just don't understand. It's really, really, really fucking stupid.
So immersed in Alec Baldwin movies that they didn't have time.
It says, even in the description, this guy is quite lucky the round only connected with his earmuffs. He's perfectly fine. He's perfectly okay. There is no injuries on that guy. Just want to make that clear for TOS purposes.
Time to pay attention to the real world riots that were going on.
That's why you never directly point at your feet as well. Could bounce right back up at you. Yeah. Because it could just, it can absolutely do that depending on the material of the ground. Okay, but why didn't it ricochet back into the barrel? You got me there. You got me. Did someone say Alex a bullet ricocheted? No, so the argument was there was the best information available said that there was it could go through a camera and that it was possible that it went through the camera and it could have killed the lady and then injured the dude. Which is possible. She said it wasn't, which is laughable. It is laughable to say that that can't be the case. All right. There's a multitude of spots that I showed on stream where a bullet can go through a camera, maybe not through it entirely, a 44 Magnum that is, and absolutely there are certain bullets that can go clean through an IMAX camera, all the way through, kill you, another person, and probably another person. But for a 44 Magnum, I don't think it's very realistic that that is going to go all the way through like an IMAX camera or something like that into somebody and then into another person. I don't think that's very realistic. But anyway, there are multiple different spots on the camera that is capable of doing so, right? And so that was the discussion. There was another discussion that she said that the gun has to be pointed at somebody to kill them or hurt them. Bullshit. We just watched it. That is not true. A gun does not have to be pointed at somebody to hurt somebody. A gun does not have to be pointed at someone to hurt someone. That is 100% bullshit. Honestly, I expect this from some liberal that has never held a gun in their entire life. That's what I expect this shit from. A liberal that has never held a gun in their entire life. I fully expect that shit. There is ricochets that happen that can fucking kill people. 100% there are. And we just watched one that could have killed somebody, but thank God it didn't.
Something, it's possible. Yeah, I don't think that we don't know if he aimed it as a joke, but some of the stuff was, it doesn't matter. You're not going to change my mind about this. If I hand a gun to you and say it's not loaded and you point it at somebody and pull the trigger without checking for yourself, you are a fucking moron who doesn't deserve to ever be around any kind of gun.
Jesus
You don't need to ever go to the range. What you need to do is go back to remedial gun safety 101 and learn not to be a dumbass. And I'll die on this hill because this is what I do for a living.
Look at my gun instructor, I'm gonna die.
So many people try to say, "Oh, it wasn't his fault. It wasn't his fault. It wasn't his fault."
Okay, but maybe she's excluding ricochets in this case since there was no in this case. No, she wasn't. I'm going to assume you hadn't seen any of the shit that we're talking about. She said explicitly, Destiny said there may have been a ricochet. We don't know if their gun was pointed at the individual. We don't have the information to be able to prove this, right? These were all theories that he could provide. She made the hard claim he was vagrantly just flaunting it around, throwing it, "Hey, what's up? Here's my gun. Oh no, you're dead." That was her claim. Was that's what Alec Baldwin was doing. And the Destiny's like, there's a multitude of different ways that somebody might die. Maybe there was a ricochet, maybe it went through the camera, maybe it was this. And then she said, no, quote, it is not possible to kill somebody with a gun unless you are pointing it at them. That is her quote from a gun instructor. It is unbelievably brain dead that she would ever utter such stupid words. Unbelievable. And she should have her credentials completely removed based on that fucking sentence alone. I'm getting a bit hype. I don't mean that. But dear God, she should not be saying that shit in public. Right? And so that's what we were trying to prove, is that ricochets can kill people, have killed people, and unfortunately will into the future kill people.
While also pushing for gun control. It wasn't Alec Baldwin's fault. Guns are just dangerous. They just go off on themselves. They're horrific weapons of war. They're killing machines. The gun did this. Same energy as people saying the SUV killed all those people in the fucking crowd in Waukesha. right? Guns just go off by themselves and kill people. That's what this is, dude. If you can't see that. No, it's not an insane take. You know, I can tell, like, I'm not to be rude. Okay, I'm gonna back up. I am not trying to be rude to you, but I just feel like people like you really should never be around guns until you can figure out the rules of gun safety, which is that you never point a gun at something you're not willing to kill or destroy. Okay, you keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are on the target that you want to shoot. Okay, and
is that even comparable? It wasn't.
What's behind your target, right? And you treat every gun with the respect of a loaded gun. Fuck guns. Okay, so now we know why you're taking Alec Baldwin's side. It's because you're uneducated. Why didn't you just say that?
Oh, this is so
why didn't you just say I have an
awkward
extreme bias against guns, which is why I think it was the gun's fault and not Alec Baldwin's fault? Why didn't you just say that? Now we know what to think of you. Why are you even in here? Listen, this whole I wasn't touching the trigger, it just went off on its own. I'm gonna be real, like, fair, okay? Is it impossible? No. It is extremely unlikely, like absurdly unlikely. In fact, really the only—
So again, this is stupid to say. I'm not a gun instructor, but somehow I am infinitely more educated than this person just by playing fucking video games. I swear. It depends on the weapon. For instance, a old gun called, I think it was the Walther P38 from Nazi Germany, was renowned for going off. It was literally renowned for mechanical failure on its own. It depends on the gun. There are certain guns that have horrendous failure rates. Horrendous failure rates on their own without doing anything, without the user doing fucking any, just walking and the gun could go off. And there's certain guns that fucking never go off no matter what the fuck you do to it, right? Like we're talking about more reliable weapons that never fucking go off. Holy shit. Holy shit. It depends on the fucking firearm. Dramatically. And what we just watched the revolvers. The guy, the actual gun guy that knows what the fuck is actually happening with guns, go over how, like, yeah, there's a lot of safety instructions that are bullshit, you know, talking about the lawnmower shit, to not put your hand under the lawnmower. It's just made up shit. But he said real clear, it is a very real thing that you need to be careful with these fucking revolvers, because these revolvers will absolutely fucking clap your cheeks if you don't know what the fuck you're doing. A bump on the back of it, if you don't know how to properly use the weapon, could have the weapon go off. And that's why they would, and based on what he said, load 5 rounds instead of 6 because they didn't have the safety precautions and avoid shooting it. They literally, it was so common that these guns would go off, they loaded 5 rounds instead of 6. And what she's trying to sell you is that this never happens. It never happens. All of those people that loaded 5 rounds instead of 6, liberals. All of them, liberals. Liberals. All of them, liberals. Loading 5 rounds into that gun instead of 6, you're a fucking lib. What the fuck, dude? I'm sorry, this person's so fucking dumb.
You think I'm delusional? Okay, well, you're banned, DGGer. Get out of here. You're a delusion. This is a delusion. You are psychotic. I'm just gonna yell and call you psychotic because I have no—
A well-known thing because of a gun manufacturing malfunction. All of them liberals because guns can't fail. Like, she's doing the exact opposite of what she's claiming other people— Yeah, the DGGer. Dude, like, I don't know. That's crazy. She's literally doing the exact opposite. She's like, you know, she's saying that liberals say that guns kill everyone. She's saying that guns never fuck up. They never malfunction. It's not a thing that's possible. Unreal.
Is it impossible? No. It is extremely unlikely. Like, absurdly unlikely. In fact, really, the only thing— I'm delusional? Okay, well, you're banned, DGGer. Get out of here. You're a delusion. This is a delusion. You are psychotic. I'm just gonna yell and call you psychotic because I have no educated information on this topic and I have no counter argument, and you're demolishing me and bullying me the fuck out. So I'm just gonna—
This is why Discord or ban is based, by the way. This is why Discord or ban is based. Don't just ban people, Discord or ban them, dude. You gotta get them in Discord, man. If you believe in that shit, fight for it, baby. Fight for it. If you believe that person's a dumb fuck, fight for that shit. Let's go.
I'm gonna scream at you and call you psychotic and delusional because that's the only way I can win. Yeah.
And the only way she can win is by not actually talking with that person, just banning them, because she knows she's wrong. To be fair to her, she probably doesn't know that she's wrong or being unintelligent. To be perfectly fair, she's probably ignorant of her stupidity.
You are psychotic. So what's your rebuttal? You're psychotic. So is that the end of the argument? Yeah, I won. Okay. Yeah, don't point guns at people. It's really that.
Anyone think gun protocol won't change going forward? I think it's possible it might change on sets. I think it's definitely possible. Bxbullet describing the Alex Baldwin incident. How Bxbullet described the Alex Baldwin incident.
Simple. It's that simple. Okay, so backing up. So we have this whole thing about
Can you
Alec
add
Baldwin,
the Giga Chat emote? I already have the chat emote, do I not? Wait, link me the Giga Chat emote. I thought I had it.
saying that he didn't pull the trigger. Now, there's something important that leads up to this that I want to get to here.
Casey, I saw
Because
that, but that guy gets injured, so I think it'd be TOS.
But you're supposed to point guns at each other on movie sets. Well, as it turns out, he wasn't supposed to be pointing the gun at anyone or even drawing the gun. Okay, an ad. Why is everybody saying ads?
Speaking of ads, if you want to sub to me to avoid this ad break, you can. You can spend 5 of your hard-earned cuck bucks or have a primer. All right, there it is. All right, sub to me, beg for subs from an oiler, or, get your free primer out there. All right, I'm going to run a 1-minute ad break right now. I love ads. Bing chilling, of course.
Hey, guess what? You don't get ads if you're subscribed to the channel. Quit bitching. Okay. What are ads? You wouldn't know if you were subscribed to the channel. All right. Yeah, you know what? Twitch did roll some changes in the ads out. And it's like they were telling me I had to play ads every hour or something, and I had to set it up. Yeah, get Twitch Turbo. Hey, TD Mug, thank you for the Prime sub. That's one way to never see an ad again. That's right. Okay. Anyways, okay, so let's back up. So you remember how everybody was saying, but
hey,
but
Fino, thank you for gifting a sub, Fino, and what is your name? Petey? I don't know what your name is.
Guns at people. So it turns
Thank
out
you
he
for
wasn't
the first
even
time
supposed
subbing
to.
your Prime.
I disagree with that.
Smile.
But he's not supposed to be pointing a gun at anybody in the scene at all. So
Blood.
Let's see.
Thank you for your primer. What is that?
I don't know a lot about guns. But a bullet is literally having to be forced into a gun after cleaning. That's a sign the bullet may be lethal.
It's
what are you talking about?
Oh,
wait,
Pi
clarify what you're talking about. I don't know. I don't understand that reference.
Pi day.
Should never have to force a bullet into a gun.
When I gift a sub, you don't even mention it? Did you gift a sub? Oh, Biggest J, you gifted a sub to Pedro. I didn't see that. My bad.
Shell casing. So there wouldn't be any difference in the shell diameter. And that shouldn't be the case. Hello, everyone, except that last asswipe. Hello. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. Anyways. Okay. So Baldwin's new claim seems to contradict other crew members' statement and what has been reported in several search warrant affidavits by authorities. Weird. It's almost like he's the only one claiming that he didn't pull the trigger, even though it's an absurdly fringe event for a gun, especially a revolver, to go off without someone pulling the trigger. Absurd.
She's literally wrong on this. We literally just watched videos detailing of why it's actually a thing that they recognized was a problem with revolvers that they had to make new ones to avoid. We literally just saw the video of the guy talking about the history of revolvers and how they had to make new ones to avoid that exact problem. This is what, dude, she is so fucking dumb. I am sorry. She is so fucking dumb. It was the problem. The problem was that's why they 5-loaded these things, was because of this fucking problem. And she's like, especially maybe for modern revolvers, sure. But that's just not it. I'm sorry. It is what it is. It is what it is. I can't, man. I'm out. The tanks are out. I gotta lower my blood pressure, man. The doc's been saying it, dude. The doc's been talking to me. He's like, listen, you gotta bring this shit down a notch.
Absurdly rare, right? So not only is what he's claiming absurdly rare, which of course plenty of people don't realize this because they think guns just go off by themselves all the time because all they do is watch stupid Alec Baldwin movies and they know nothing about guns. But not only that, it contradicts everybody else's statements and what's been reported in the search warrant affidavits. So why is he lying? Right. When Stephanopoulos pointed out that it wasn't in the script for the trigger to be pulled. Remember when we were just rehearsing a scene, all of these arguments that everybody has been using to defend Alec
Thank you for
Baldwin
the first time sub in your primer. I appreciate it.
Right? Wasn't supposed to even be pulling the gun in the scene. He wasn't supposed to pull the trigger in the scene. He had no reason to do any of that. Right?
Do you know what an affidavit is?
They weren't even filming at the time. You know, everybody was trying to claim it was a magic bullet. It was not. It was shot directly through her abdomen. People were claiming that, oh, maybe it just hit the camera and went through the camera. No. All the things that people claimed without having any information. And you know what's funny is people are like, well, you made all of these opinions before you even had all the facts. It's like, because there are things we know, right? That's like saying, I was in a car accident. But were you in a car? Well, yeah, because I was in a car accident.
Oh my God, that's not how it works. Oh my God, that's not what she said. Axis, thank you for the tier 1 first time sub. I appreciate it. That's it. She acts like the only claim that she made. Oh, thank you for the 5 gifted subs there, Axis, as well. You subbed and then gave 5 fast ones. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Axis CTV. I appreciate it. Thank you. Like, sorry, just to go over this again, she acts like all she said to Destiny was Alec Baldwin shot someone. That's it. Yeah, you don't need excess evidence, like, I think, to reasonably make that call, right? Alec Baldwin himself admitted that there was a shooting, right? Everybody agreed that he had shot someone. Right? And if that turned out to have not been the case, I wouldn't blame anybody for coming forward about that. She went, no, Alec Baldwin was throwing that gun around flagrantly, pointing it at people, and then pulled the trigger at this person. Didn't check the gun, didn't verify any of this other shit, didn't verify that with the armor whether or not the gun was cold, doesn't know whether a gun is cold or not, doesn't understand what that means. It's like, hold on, you've made like knowledge claims that you know that he doesn't know what a cold gun is. You've made knowledge claims about like him not referencing with the armor whether the gun was cold. You've made all of these claims. Where's your evidence? And she's like, I mean, the gun fired, so we know this. Like, okay. All right.
So you're just deciding that you were in a car before we have all the facts? Like, you know what I mean? Like, she was shot through the stomach. It went into her stomach and out the other side and hit somebody behind her. Okay, a ricochet doesn't do that. It's just, this is physics. Right? I'm using scientific laws to back up what I'm saying.
Name one that backs up that idea. When does the like gods of physics go, homie, that 50 cal bullet that we just watched that like went over that guy's helmet, it would kill you, but the problem is it's a ricochet, so it's just not gonna do it. Wait, he's like, wait, doesn't it have to do with like energy, momentum, and velocity? That's some nerd shit, homie. It's a ricochet. It just can't kill you. You get buffs. You just can't die from a ricochet. Like, just trust me, man. It's just, that's just not how it works. Okay, hold on. Let's just get something straight. Okay, it just can't. It's not how it works. But it's like, what about like momentum and like mass and velocity? Dude, this is nerd shit, homie. This is nerd shit, dude. It's just a ricochet. Chill. My bad, man.
Pointed the gun at a person. That's what I said. Right? And I also said he pointed the gun at a person and pulled the trigger because it's so rare for a gun to go off without you pulling the trigger that it's almost not even worth considering. Now, if I was in a jury, okay, if I'm a lawyer, do I think that I can make a good case to instill reasonable doubt in a jury?
Clearly she is referencing the Alec Baldwin killed someone by being reckless, law of physics. Duh.
Duh.
He pulled the trigger without, or that he, the gun went off without him pulling the trigger. Yeah, agreed on. Thank you so much for the $24 dono. I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, also for anybody just joining, you could put lowercase t, lowercase o, or lowercase a, an exclamation point, or colon, sorry, before your message, just like Twinkle Biscuit here did. You can do that, and you will have access to either Donald Trump, Obama, or Alex Jones's voice, respectively. If you donate 100 bits or more. So you get that perk. There you go. All right?
I do. I think that if I were a doctor or a lawyer, I could probably make the argument that the gun could possibly go off without pulling the trigger. Now, do I think that's what happened? No, I don't. Especially not with a revolver, a single action revolver at that, right?
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. Well, he already has an ornament. Ricocets also tend to travel along the path of least resistance until they hit an object and then they bounce. Ask me how many times I've been seriously injured by ricochets. Actually, just twice, but still. I had to have surgery to remove a ricochet that bounced off of a car, the rim of a car. So yeah, it
Don't listen to him, chap.
What's happening?
Ahrelevant is fake news. You have to donate hundreds of bits. The best bits, to be honest.
What's going on? Jesus Christ. Ahrelevant, message me a pic of your enabled voices on Discord and I can change the command text in a bit. Message you a pic of it? Do I have to give you a pic of it, or could I just send you the voices that I have?
It's obviously they travel along the path of least resistance, but like, use your brain here. As soon as it hits an object, it deflects off of it like a pool ball, right? Until it stops. This is physics 101. I don't know what that comment's supposed to mean. Maybe if it was in a hair trigger. Yeah, so that's the other thing, Magnum, you make a good point. So,
Here,
like, I think what's much more likely is that he had his finger on or around the trigger, and it was cocked, and it was a single action Colt revolver with like a really light trigger. And like, I've shot some revolvers that had triggers so light you barely brush them and that thing go off. So it could have been that his finger was on or around the trigger. And he
Did you misgender this person? Who?
From my perspective, it's not going apeshit just to tell somebody that they're being transphobic. You know what I mean?
Right, but if you don't have like an answer for them for like why they're transphobic,
why they're being transphobic? Well, because they refuse. Well, in the case of like Cherry and Ahrelevant, it was that they refused to acknowledge, you know, my gender is valid, basically, and refused to gender me properly.
Yeah, so it's very interesting that this person comes in here and says it that way. I did refuse to use their pronouns because their pronouns were e-er. I don't even know. I didn't even know how to pronounce it. Their pronouns were e-er. I was like, I'm just going to use they, them. I don't even know how to say that. So I just said use they, their. E-er. Yeah, like the song, e-er. And it's like, I don't know how the fuck to say it. So I said they, them. That's what I did. Yeah, that's correct.
Doesn't remember pulling the trigger because his hand was just on it and like he didn't realize that he pulled the trigger. That's possible. It could just be that he's a fucking moron and doesn't realize that he pulled the trigger. Yeah. Even if there was a ricochet, he was still likely pointing it really close to her. Oh, I see what you're saying.
If you're a gender abolitionist, do you still need to use neo-pronouns? No, you could argue that being a gender abolitionist, you have a greater moral responsibility to use gender neo-pronouns because it helps implode the idea of gender faster. You could make that argument if you wanted to. Like that could be something that you have a moral imperative to do because it would minimize harm, not only to the person that you're using the pronouns with, but with the other person. I just didn't use those pronouns because I didn't know what the fuck they were. It was like literally e-er, and I didn't know if it was e-er or what. And I was like, I'm just going to call you they, them. I'm just going to use they, them. And plus they had just gotten off of being a complete asshole to Cherry, so I was like, fuck that shit.
But the reason I said that people were like, you don't know if it was in a ricochet, I'm like, I do know that. Because I don't think that there's any, like, I've like never heard of a case.
I don't know if it was like the Roddy Ricch song. I have no idea. I didn't hear them out loud. I saw them and they were like this. That was their pronouns, e-er. And I was like, do I, like, is this a bit? What is this?
A ricochet went through and through a person like that and hit somebody on the other side of them. Like that's a full blown round. They were also trying to claim that it was a blank with a barrel obstruction, like Brandon Lee, all kinds of stupid shit. And I kept telling them, no, that kind of gunshot wound is caused by a live round being pointed directly at a person. So
My
yeah,
pronouns
so no,
are asterisk, donkey sounds asterisk.
Why did
How
you
dare
point
you
the
not
gun at
respect
somebody in
them?
the first place? This is weird because right here he
Bigoted
seems to be
libtard.
implying that he pointed the gun at her, right? Because he's just saying I didn't pull the trigger, but you pointed the gun at her. Why? Why point the gun at a person? Why? Why point the gun at the camera person? Why? Why do that? The camera wasn't even rolling. It doesn't make any sense. And you know, here's the dangerous part about this is that it's dangerous rhetoric. So it's really fucking stupid of Alec Baldwin to try to do this whole, well, I didn't pull the trigger. Well, why were you pointing it at her in the first place? You should have never been doing that, right? A,
Why actor
B,
point
you should
gun?
always
I don't
treat every
know.
gun with the same respect of a loaded firearm. And if you had to point it at somebody because the movie says so or whatever, you better be fucking checking to make sure that you better check for yourself, dude. Because there's not supposed to be
Like
anything
we
in the
talked
gun.
about again, this is bullshit. Because again, if I'm the armorer and you try and check the gun for yourself, I'm going to be like, give me that fucking gun so I can make sure you didn't fuck with it, right? So, and also, you got to remember as well, it's incredibly common for these things to have tight time schedules. You don't necessarily have the time to be checking every time you do a scene. Every single time you do a scene to check individually these things. It's somebody's job to do that. It's their whole fucking job to make sure that the weapons are safe and that they're ready to be used for the proper scenes when they're used. All right? Any person who's like an actor or something like that, I do not expect them to go... Like, could you imagine fucking...
No one has ever pulled a trigger so good.
Nice meme. Like, I don't know, just all of these movies, man, how much longer half of these movies would be? Whereas I feel like it goes like this. You check that the gun is properly ready for the scene, maybe once or twice or something like that. And then you're just like, yeah, this person's entire job is doing this. They have a pretty good track record or whatever. And yeah, I trust them. And then you're just like, fuck it, I'll believe you. Because it's their fucking job. Like, she acts like it's nobody's fucking job, and then they just have to like double, triple check each other's work. You have the option to be able to look at it. I already saw the stale thing.
Because they were just rehearsing. There shouldn't have been anything in there. He was not practicing a scene. He was practicing a scene, but the scene did not involve him even drawing the gun. So the civil suits that are coming out by like 2 or 3 separate people are now all saying the same thing. That the scene, all it was like a picture of his bloody shoulder and a picture of his gun in his holster and then a close-up of his face. And they were like, the civil lawsuits that are coming out are alleging that there was nothing in the script that even told him to draw the gun at that point. So there's a lot of things that are weird and not adding up here. A lot of things that are weird and not adding up. It's almost like you wonder in today's day and age on a movie set how nobody was recording it or how nobody got anything on video. Remember how I was saying about all the Kyle Rittenhouse and everything else that everything's on video? A little weird that nothing got caught on video, right? I bet that if...
Not... Are you serious? Is this a real person? It's kind of weird that nothing got caught on video at a movie set? Is it very common for the crew to just go, yeah, I should be doing my job right now, but let's all just film it. Let's just film this random time where they're doing a screen test, this random screen test. Let's just film it on my phone. Fuck, it would not surprise me if there's protocol to never do that. It wouldn't surprise me at all. At all. To never, like, film on film set independently. Like, at all. Because you don't want to leak the, like, movie details. It's a very common thing, right? Think of all of the people, like, that would do that for, like, Marvel movies. Think about how big of a deal that would be for, like, Marvel movies. Oh yeah, let me just bust out my fucking phone and start recording fucking No Way Home as they're shooting the film. Do you know how quickly you would be reprimanded or fucking fired if you did that shit? Like, are you joking?
somebody had caught it on video, they'd have probably quashed that shit real quick. So yeah, let's talk about, guns firing without you pulling the trigger. I mean, this is super, super rare.
I'm gonna leak it because fuck my job.
I have seen it happen. I've seen it happen exactly twice.
Yeah, but behind the scenes footage is people that give explicit consent from the making of the film, right? Not a random crew guy busting out his fucking iPhone in the middle of filming. Anonymous grifter, nice meme.
Years of 15 years of handgun experience. I've only seen it happen twice. And ironically, both of those guns were Glocks. Yeah.
Wait, what happened?
It happened exit trigger. I mean, so yeah, let's talk about, guns firing without you pulling the trigger. I mean, this is super, super rare. This is so fucking rare. I have seen it happen. I've seen it happen exactly twice. In years and years and years of 15 years of handgun experience. I've only seen it happen twice. And ironically, both of those guns were Glocks. Yeah.
So it can happen indeed.
Once I was holding the gun and it went off on its own.
Interesting. But it's not possible for that to have happened in Alec Baldwin's case. It's just not possible. It's just not possible. Right? Because it's not about whether or not there's a probability or plausibility either. Because I would agree it's not very plausible. It seems like it's in a vacuum. But given the details that we have about the firearm and shit like that, it seems very plausible, given that the firearm is capable of doing so, as we've seen inside of the little bit of looking that we've done. Whether or not it happened, though, is another question. The problem is, she skipped, is it plausible that it went off on its own? And she said, it isn't even possible. It's not even possible. He intended to fire that gun. He pulled the trigger. He did all of that himself. When Destiny said, maybe the X, Y, and Z happened, she said, no. He pulled the gun, or he pulled the trigger. He did this. It had to have happened. Wow. Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yep. And I for sure did not pull the trigger. But I already know.
He said he pulled it halfway back, I believe.
So the other thing is here, okay? The other thing here is that if what he's claiming is true, that he didn't pull the trigger, I hope he's not lying about this, right? Because do you really think that the firearms examiner wouldn't be able to tell you yes or no in court? Like, do you not think that they're going to have a firearms examiner, a person who comes up on the stand and says, I examined the gun, and did you see anything that would cause it to fire without a finger on the trigger? And they say no? Then his entire story is blown. Because if there was some kind of horrible mechanical error, which I can't think of many things besides like extreme rust, ironically, right?
No, it's just, she just doesn't understand like we said, we can go, do we still have the video up? Yeah, this is it. Let me just show you of an actual firearms guy, like an actual person that knows about firearms. Not, I don't know if she's faking it or what, but let me show you what somebody who actually uses firearms knows what the fuck they're talking about. Show you exactly how this is possible.
Around.
Yet again, we're going to show you how this is possible.
While the blade is turning. Yeah, it's just, there's no end to it. And a lot of it is really stupid stuff. And so we get to where we don't even read it. We get to where we don't even see why. Now I'm going to put my birthday. See?
Look at this.
Okay. Now, fingers off the trigger.
Fingers off the trigger. No finger in the trigger.
I'm going to hit the back of the hammer.
Look what happens.
Okay.
Whoa. That has never happened in history before. That's crazy. Bxbullet fans are shaking. They are shaking right now. How is this possible? How is this possible? My queen said this wasn't possible. I don't understand. It's like, I don't understand what a trigger does. That's crazy. Wait, you're meaning to tell me there's a firing pin on the hammer that can strike the primer? Wait. What? That can happen with old firearms? No, that's not Wait. But she said it's not possible. The Glocks. What happened to the... A single action revolver isn't supposed to be able to do this. Wait, okay. It must have been magic, right? He doesn't do it again, right? There's no other gun that can do this again, right? It was a fluke. It was a one-time only thing. She said she's seen it. What was it? Was it once inside of her entire career?
Bring it back around. Single action.
Surely it can't happen again. It's not possible. It's not physically possible. Oh my God!
See? So, I'm not.
Rust, like extreme rust. Like some people have had, even with like revolvers and old rifles and stuff, have had the guns go off because like they found like they inherited some like old Civil War era cowboy era gun, and it wasn't sorted properly. Guns go off because like they found like they inherited some like old Civil War era cowboy era gun, and it was.
Yeah, there is cowboy era guns, but they don't have to be. Oh God, hold up. They don't have to be rusted out to have that happen, as the guy shows.
Wasn't sorted properly, and it was covered in rust and eroding, and they didn't realize it had a round in it, and occasionally that can make a gun go off. I've heard about that happening. But yeah, so the only times that I've actually had that happen is with a Glock. A Glock, yeah.
Oh, something we got to remember is that she is of a similar opinion, I'm assuming, as a specific group of conservatives that will only learn things by experience. So unless she hasn't seen it with her eyes right in front of her, she doesn't believe it exists. So there you go. So she hasn't seen it right in front of her, so she just doesn't think it can happen. She doesn't actually care about guns. She only cares about the guns that she's seen firsthand. So there it is. I should be a little bit more fair. Maybe she just doesn't understand that older weapons exist and the ways that safety procedures for weapons have evolved over time. She doesn't realize that guns have actually had tremendous safety improvements over time, and she just thinks that guns have stayed the same for the past 300 years. That's the best you're going to get out of me.
Yeah, unless the armor modified the trigger. Modified trigger is another reason that a gun might... But I don't think that that's the case with single-action revolvers. That's more of a case with like semi-automatic handguns, not so much revolvers. They're much simpler. I would say on movie sets, hey, what's up, Swing Set Mafia? Pointing guns at people to camera is not normal, but expected for shots. I love my guns and I don't buy the gun going off by itself. But I think the never point a gun at somebody you don't intend to kill rule is amended in order to use prop guns. But that's the problem, is that it's a real gun. You're trying to say prop gun, right? But the problem with saying that is that a prop gun in this case just means it was used for a movie. So like, here's a hairbrush. But now I'm using it as a prop in a movie. So now it's a prop hairbrush. Does it still brush my hair? Yeah. Can I still use it as a hairbrush? Sure. Right? So that's the danger, is you can't just say, oh, it's a prop gun. Because it's not. It's a real gun.
The point wasn't that the prop gun makes it not a real gun. The point is that it's used on a movie set, therefore it's going to be used at pointing at people. What if her spirit wanted her to experience a life as a 10 IQ lizard wearing human skin? We can't blame her. I love you, Biggest J.
Now, there are guns that they can use on the movie set that are incapable of firing, right? Or incapable of firing live rounds. And this isn't just my opinion, Swing Set Mafia. Lots of people in the industry have come forward over this. Like Ray Liotta and like other A-list actors have come out and said, this almost never happens. I think it was Ray Liotta who said that only one time in my entire acting career have I ever had to point a real gun at a person. And we opened the gun up and everybody on set checked it to make sure it was unloaded. And if you're shooting blanks, you're supposed to be behind a shield and all kinds of shit with like eye pro on, people around, like, and now more and more recently, they're not even doing that at all. Like, you know, they'll point it at an angle if they have to do that at all. But they also can use guns that are modified to not even fire. Why not do that? But yeah, so no, I don't agree. I don't agree that you should treat it any differently because it's a prop gun. It is a real gun. Simply being on a movie set makes it a prop, but it doesn't change the fact that it's capable of killing a person if it's improperly loaded with live ammo, which is a huge gaping hole in the story right now. We're starting to get a little bit more information about where the live round could have come from, but they're still investigating it. They haven't released a lot. But we're definitely still investigating that. If they're going to point guns at people as much as using them on something to modify the no pointing, no, they need to modify the gun to make sure it's incapable of firing.
The little bits. Thank you for
modify the rule. Why
gifting
modify
a
the
sub
rule?
to
We need to modify the
Hitchcock.
gun. You don't ever modify the rule. That's what makes it a rule.
Or
There's no
Hickok.
exception. Now,
All
like,
right.
for example, like that video you sent me, Swing Set Mafia, I disagree.
I think I'm done farming this chick.
It seems to me that there were a ton of different procedures that were followed or protocols that were followed on a ton of different sets. Some actors saw the gun and saw the bullets every time. Some didn't. It seems like standard practice like varied from set to set, crew to crew. Now, the idea behind
not just the left who talks about stuff they know nothing about. Thank you for your service, 07.
It's true.
Showing everybody in a firing line the gun or whatever, which is what you're saying, that only applied to scenes where a live round was being used. And by live round, I mean a dummy, a blank was being used, right? But there wasn't supposed to be a blank in the gun here. It was supposed to be a dummy round.
Do what the prop armorer tells them to do. And we did not have a problem. I mean, I understand there was an accidental discharge at one point on the set of a blank round, but we did not have a problem for me until that day. Everything gets slowed.
Does liability include murder? I don't know nothing about anything that ever has to do with any of this has anything to do with murder. We're talking about manslaughter right now. I don't think anybody intentionally killed anybody. So I don't know where the murder thing has come from. But yeah, in the case of death, sometimes that is the most important thing. That's why liability is so fucking important. That's why when you're walking around and restaurants mop up places and they have those stupid fucking signs everywhere, it's like, why the fuck do you, this floor was mopped an hour ago. Why do you have a sign on studs? Because if somebody trips and falls and because there's some part of the wet floor, you don't want to be liable for them breaking their neck because they didn't see a fucking sign or something, right?
Down Zapruder film-esque here. And the issue with that is there's only one question to be resolved, only one. That is, where did the live round come from?
A sanity check exists in almost any field. Alec Baldwin may not be legally responsible, but he sure as hell could have taken a few seconds to check to see. Okay, I don't know how many other ways. Okay, I'm not going to say this again. I'm not going to repeat myself, okay? I don't know how many other ways I can say this exact same point over and over and over and over again. Or I don't know if some people just intentionally don't want to understand it or what. If we are on a movie set and I am the person who is responsible for firearms, and I'm the person responsible to make sure what load is in the gun, okay, who's getting what gun and whether or not it's, you know, functioning well or not, okay, if that's what's happening, all right, then I probably am going to be the one who's going to be liable if there's a mistake or an accident involving that firearm. If that is the case, okay, and I check my firearm and I know what's in there and I'm good on that, and then I hand you that gun, okay, if that is how the set is set up, I don't want you fucking with the firearm. I don't need you to take the magazine out because I don't know if you've got some dumb shit, if you've got another magazine or if you've got another bullet or some shit. I don't need you spinning the fucking card. Okay, you're an actor. Do your job and act. If the liability is on me for the firearm, okay, it's not. There is no sanity check here. The sanity check should ideally be the person with the most training who's handing the firearm off to the actor, right? Destiny, there are no separate laws for movie sets. If you shoot someone, even if someone else told you it's okay, you're going to be liable. That is absolutely not true. I don't think
that's true.
How this plays out in terms of liability is absolutely going. What a brain dead fucking comment. No way. If I give you a fucking Nerf gun and you go outside and you play with your kid, but it's actually like a disguised real gun and you shoot and kill your kid, you think you're going to get fucking charged with manslaughter or murder for that? What? You're actually delusional. There's going to be a very clear, and that's what the criminal case, and probably a lot of the civil case will hinge on this, is going to be about, is who was liable, who was in charge, who fucked up, and then the varying levels of responsibility down the chain. That's what the criminal and the, yeah. That's still wrong here. I shot Brandon Lee. I was locked up for 87 years for it. Okay. Would whoever put a live round in the gun even be charged with anything if it was on the armorer to check it? Yeah, maybe, probably, possibly, who knows? Okay, when he said he didn't know for 45 minutes to an hour that she was dead, that he thought she fainted, that's bullshit. It's possible. I don't know. I don't know, man. I've seen a lot of really weird... Human bodies do a lot of weird things. I watch a lot, I don't know why, I watch a lot of videos of people dying on the internet, okay? Sometimes people get shot and there's a whole lot of fucking blood immediately. And I'm like, holy shit, I didn't know humans could bleed that much. Other times, weird shit happens. People get shot and there's like not that much blood initially or whatever for some reason. I don't fucking know. I don't know why. But I'm not an expert in like human physiology or why people are dead or whatever. But it's also possible that she got shot, she fell back, someone was over her, and then medics came in and was like, get the fuck out, and they didn't have time to like look her over well. Who knows, right? It's possible she was wearing a red fucking dress and you couldn't tell that there was blood over it. Who knows? I don't know. But
it's so weird that you see actual guns here, the gun Here the gun barrels are made thicker so the projectiles can pass, and then the... Are you trying to say magazines are made in a way so only blanks can be put in?
I do know that this is on a goddamn movie set with a fuck ton of witnesses around, and everybody here is absolutely incentivized to not be the one in trouble. So my guess is there will be a high degree of certainty over every single event leading up to and during the shooting itself. So there's not like, we don't have to speculate. We can just wait for the court case to roll out. There's no fucking way is anything going to be left up to random chance here. We're going to know we're probably going to have like a second by second account of everything that happened on the set when the shooting happened. And then a minute by minute or hour by hour account of everything that happened with the firearm prior to that. Everybody's walking around with cell phones. Everybody's texting each other. There's probably multiple cameras. There's probably security. There's people communicating. Like there's so much. We're going to find out so much, right?
Sure.
Do you have any tips for growing my stream? I made a bean machine that feeds me beans on viewer command. I have 172 followers and I grow by about 2 a week.
Nice. Somebody said, I get the liability argument, but I'd still do a sanity check. I am accustomed to rampant incompetence almost as much as I am others abdicating responsibility. I expect we're going to be lethal by mistake more than a Nerf gun. It's possible. It would be very difficult for me to be an actor and use a firearm on set. Because if you've handled real firearms for a long time,
you get like muscle training or whatever.
It's going to sound really stupid.
Yeah, like,
or this is going to sound dramatized. Dramatized? It's going to sound overly dramatic. I don't mean for it to sound...
So is Baldwin actually just a victim of the woman that got shot? And since she chose to be shot before she was born? In that dumb chick's ideology? I don't know. That you're going to have to ask that, like, Nazi apologist or whatever the fuck chick that was. I don't know what idea she was. Anybody who doesn't know what that person is talking about or what I'm talking about, good. You're sparing yourself like headache. There's some weird person that believes that spiritually you decide what the fuck, the way you're gonna die before you live and some shit. I don't know.
Dramatic, okay? But I haven't played with Nerf guns.
Yeah, they said that like all of the people who died in the Holocaust chose to die in the Holocaust before they were born. Their spirits decided that. So it's like not that big of a deal. It's cringe. It's really fucking cringe.
A lot. I used to shoot quite a
Coming
bit when
on
I was back in the
YouTube soon, encoding right now. True. Sub to the YouTube channel. You're gonna have my response live. You're gonna get all the details.
Nebraska, it feels weird to aim like a Nerf gun at my kid because he had one of those and shoot him. It's not like the worst feeling, but it feels a little bit weird to do it because it's like, ugh, you know? Being an actor and then being given a real firearm and just kind of waving it around, that would be a difficult thing to do, period, full stop. But I don't think actors typically have experience with real firearms. Let's be real. Hollywood is a very left-leaning place. A lot of these people probably have never shot a real firearm in their life. The vast majority of actors, that'd be my guess, probably never shot. So that it wouldn't surprise me, you know, that they wouldn't have the same instincts while, you know, handed a firearm, right? Because if you've used firearms, every single time anybody is passing a firearm, you can watch somebody. Somebody can show you, hey, look, here's a gun. Slide is empty. Magazine is empty, there's nothing here, and they can hand it to you. And the first thing you do every single time you get it is like, oh, cool. And you always rack it, you always check it, because it's second nature. You always do it, every gun you're given. But the protocols that you will follow as an individual using a firearm
are 100% going to die in some way. How would you script it? If I was 100% going to knew I was going to die, how would I script it? I mean, in my sleep, right? Don't feel it in my sleep, right? That'd have to be it, right?
Different type of, it's just so different. This is why I try not to pass judgment on actors in terms of how they deal with firearms, because they're not going to have the experience, they're not going to have the training, and potentially more importantly, they're not going to have the liability. If you give me a gun and I shoot somebody, I'm probably always liable. Well, I will always be liable.
What about
full
as
stop.
A hero?
I can't say like, oh, he told me it was unloaded. Bullshit. That's your fucking firearm. You shot him. It's a gun. What the fuck do you think is going to happen? You're liable. But on set, it's a totally different set of circumstances. It's way different because they're doing things with guns that you should never, ever, 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 ever do with guns, which is pointing them around on set, pretending to shoot people with them. These are things you never, ever, ever do with guns. Only actors will do this, or I guess maybe in some military training exercise you might or whatever, right? Destiny, didn't he say that a cold gun could mean there is a dummy round in it? Doesn't that mean that if he did check, he could have seen the live round and thought it was a dummy? Potentially. So my understanding is that a dummy round is going to look, a dummy round will look exactly like a real cartridge. What's the name for the cartridge plus the bullet? I think you call the whole thing the cartridge, right? But
I thought the cartridge was just, oh no, it is the casing. Yeah, it would be the cartridge, wouldn't it?
the difference is that in the side of the cartridge where the gunpowder is, there'll be a hole to show you, oh, the round. That's what I should say, right? If you look in the side of the cartridge, okay, you will see a hole there to show that the cartridge is empty. But I don't know if, in order to do that check, you would have to open the revolver, you would have to empty all the bullets, and you'd have to manually check every single bullet to make sure that there's a hole in the side of the casing, I guess, to make sure that all of those rounds are dummy rounds.
Okay. All right. I'm going to be done for today. It seems like good enough for me. It seems like it to me.